Welcome back to Late Night Table Talk Talks, folks. I'm your host, Sen, joined by my co-host, Perry, and my other co-host, Carr. We have a new cover image given to us by the wonderful Carr, showing me in the center there dealing with these two numbskulls. Royak, Perry's character, on the self-insert on the left, looking like he's really excited about something, or really needs to use the bathroom.
Constipated.
And then on the right side, we also have Car's persona.
What? I'm just having a fun time, man.
Yes, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here with the furry.
You are trash.
I am not trash, thank you.
Alright, what are we talking about?
Alright, so starting off on our list, we're starting with Kesia lore. For those of you who don't know, Kesia is the 5e tabletop world that we run Adventures of Onyx, Empire of Dragons, and good old Wheel of Time out of. It's been in production for about almost a year, since December
Almost
of last
a year. Something like that.
It'll be a year in like two months. God help us all. Anyway, but yeah, so it's coming. In fact, let me just throw up a map of Kesia for you guys. Boom!
We're a little echoey right now, coming over this, so...
Alright, so
Boom.
the countries, listing off one by one. We have Hangzhou, Sunxian. Actually, it's not viewable for you guys. Alright.
It's viewable.
Alright, so the countries that we have are Hangzhou, Sunxian, Ocean, Ijan, Capua, Miglia, Sicilia, Guildland, yep, it's called Guildland, Flokia, Shinovar, Atia, Lalis, Zangli, and Terzokia. Now, we're going to talk in general about the world first, and then we're going to talk about each country going west to east.
Well, I mean, countries as of what year is this?
985.
985.
985 of the Age of Strife, the fourth tentacle age, the fifth age total.
Yeah.
So,
Most, if not all of the games take place between, like, 975 and the end of the age.
Yep, basically. The earliest game starts in 983, the latest game starts in 995.
Yeah.
There are a couple, on my end, there's a couple of ideas rolling around to have one extremely earlier, much earlier, a century earlier from the current time, but not sure when that game is going to be off the ground, so...
We will see.
That's up in the air. Currently, Wheel of Time takes place in 996, Age of Strife. Adventures of Dragons takes place Adventures of Onyx takes place in 985, the beginning of the first month of the Age of Strife, and Empire of Dragons takes place in 988, in the month of Rain, which is basically the April of the month of Frost, April of the month in the Age of Strife. So starting off, what does it say about Kesia in general? If you guys could give like a brief synopsis of Kesia, what would it be?
Everything thrown in a pot and it's set to stew.
I would like to say it's kind of like is it Renaissance or Industrial Age in terms of technology?
Definitely Renaissance.
Definitely Renaissance, kind of leaning towards Industrial Age type of era. And if I were to say it was anything, probably like Europe in its nation, probably with a lot more peaceful, I'd say, than Europe was. Definitely not consumed by plague.
Nope. Funnily enough, I'm pretty sure that to describe it perfectly. I think that Kesia the continent would be best described as a continent of superpowers, as it were, because every single country basically is at some standing to where they could possibly consider it a superpower if they were put smack dab in the middle of Europe, because each one is technically powerful in their own right. That we got some big power players.
It's like Europe, but everyone was a superpower.
Yeah, we all know how horrible that fares when there's too many superpowers in the world. But thankfully, because mutually assured destruction, it stops you from doing something stupid.
Indeed.
So,
Real quick, before we get into it, I just kind of want to ask this, but how did Kesia start?
literally me going, okay, I want to play D&D 5e. Okay, let's make my own world. It wasn't. Let's start with an adventure path. Let's not start with something easy. Nope, we're going straight up. I'm making my own world. Screw it, no matter what. That was a horrible mistake.
Oh, no.
Starting out.
But knowing you, it would be pretty hard to get you down on an adventure path or a module, so...
Oh yeah, I'd modify the shit out of that thing, let's be honest here.
Alright.
Alright, so, I think we got everything in general about Kesia. Whoa, another thing, what races are here? If it's a 5e race, throw it in. I think that's as simple as it
I
gets.
think we have 42 races that are playable.
Give me a second, I can actually check.
I know I have 42 in my list, but you added and removed a couple.
Yeah, I mean, all the ones on World.
Like, I think you lumped all the animal-eared people into one race.
No, I didn't.
Into one species group.
One species group, yeah.
They were lumped together, but outside of that, they're still their own individual thing.
Yep, just give me a second here. Put this up on the anvil. Okay, so starting up in alphabetical order, we have the Arakakra, bird boys. We have the Asimur, right, our celestial born. We have the Bugbear. We have the Centaurs. We have Changelings. We have Dampier. We have Dragonborn. We have Dwarves. We have Elves. We have Fearbolg. We have Firebrand. We have Ganassi. We have Gith. We have Gith technically aren't playable, but I just count them.
Yeah, Gith aren't playable.
Gnolls, Gnome, Goblin, Goliath, Halfling, Half-Elf, Half-Orc, Hobgoblin, Kenku, Kisune, Kobold, Lizardfolk, Luxodon, Lupin, Clan Lupin, Merfolk, Naga, Neko, Wolf Neko, Dragon Neko. Are we counting the fourth one?
The unicorn one?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You made unicorn ones?
Unicorn, just count it. Unicorn Neko.
They're special. Let's put it that way.
Just count them. Unicorn Neko. You still counting?
For the sake of simplicity, let's keep them in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So are you still counting?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, Orc, Satyr, Shifter, Tabaxi, Tiefling, Turtle, Triton, technically Tikriel, Vampire, Veldikin, Warforged, and Yanti. This is not counting the countless subspecies of each of some of them, by the way, or else we'd be here for a while.
There is a bunch.
Yeah, okay. The amount of variations that we see with the elf alone complicates the numbers.
Yeah.
And if we start homebrewing half races, half orc, mixes of dwarves and whatnot, dragonborn and whatnot, we'd be here all day.
Oh, yeah.
And then we point out I would go insane because I wouldn't be able to make that much.
That's an understatement right there. But yeah, those are the main races that are within Kesia. Anything else we have to add?
We got plenty of homebrew classes present.
I can think of 2 people who have homebrew classes.
What?
Hi, Gar.
3 people.
I have no homebrew class, technically speaking. I have a subclass, and that's about it.
Wait, didn't you make one?
There's one currently in the works, and that's kind of sputtered out for other projects.
Shoot.
But I will say I do, because of me writing for Miglia lately, today, actually, I'm kind of thinking about making a punk archetype. The bard.
Ooh, look at you. Punk rock archetype bard.
Well, I'll be probably more closer to power metal, because, let's be honest here, I love metal more.
Yeah, let's be honest, you really do. I mean, class-wise, it's nothing new. We have every single official 5e class. We have every single Unearthed Arcana class and subclass. We have, I can only think of 2 homebrew classes that we have currently that technically used in Kesia. The Clockwork Enforcer and the Weaver by another friend of ours. And generally speaking, we have another one. We have two more that are in the work that I need, but as in the work, they they were. They're not mine. They're other people's content that I'm just coding into the character sheet that we use. So currently I'm working on a Dishonored class, basically.
Woo!
And then the revised version of Blood Hunter. Oh, and the Gunsmith.
Because the world needs more guns.
It always needs more guns. Demonetized.
Wow.
What was it? Samuel Colt's quote was, "God made man, and Samuel Colt made him equal."
That sounds about right.
So, moving on.
Alright, so next. Alright, so that's so classes, races. We can save religions for another time because that'll be getting into its own can of worms, and this will be specific to each country we go to probably. So, why don't we start off with the countries first?
Where are we starting tonight?
We're starting in the far west, in the one of the new boys, hangs on, who's about 700 years old, I want to say.
That sounds about right.
Gar?
Hangs on?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm currently reading it right now.
Alright, let's see what we got. By the way, some of these are made by a friend of ours named Vice. Vice on D&D, on Discord, and he helps build some of the stuff here, so some of the countries until we say otherwise are credited to him for the world building for it.
Woohoo!
Because this man, when he starts world building, by God, does he get into it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to get him on here one time.
Oh yeah.
Because I honestly want to hear his thoughts about it, about what he has planned and what he currently has going in that part of the world.
Oh, he's got a lot planned from what he keeps talking about, and he plans for any eventuality from what it looks like. All right. But so I think we're just getting our notes together for. I swear I had a DM with the guy. Alright. Message. Alright. Alright, let's start off that way. Okay, so first off we have Hangzan, as it were. Hangzan is one of the newest countries, and it comes from, and technically speaking, their country is spawned off of refugees from another continent that got blown the fuck up.
Oh.
Man, you always gotta start big with D&D, don't you?
It kind of sets the standard to what I expect for later, so...
Maybe we just blew it up because we were too lazy to develop it?
He blew it up because he was too lazy to develop it. Get in, Vice, we're joking. Alright, I'm pulling up my maps that way. Okay, so the capital of it is New Falfada. And it is home to the Portusian culture, which, for reference, is named after the continent they come from, Portusia. The Portusian culture, as it were, is a combination of Portuguese and Spanish culture. And it is quite dominant in the central regions, but it kind of fades out as you head more north. But it's more prevalent in the center of Hangzan, moving more south. So they start fighting their own cultural battle, as it were. Main species that live here, humans. Humans are the mainstays, and they come from Portusian, but there are known to be orc raids, underdark raids by Drow, and some Tritons popping up here and there. So starting off, if anyone got something they want to say about Hangzan, something very detailed about, not detailed about it, something specific about it, I just think it would be, that would think would stand out.
Well, for an interesting thing geographically, Hangzan is a lot like Chile. It's an elongated state. I think that's what they call those in human geography. And it leads me to ask, why is it like that? Did Vice give any reasons?
I don't think he ever gave any reasons for it. I think we just went with it because that's how the map generated it.
Oh,
Because a lot of these, because I think actually, I think almost every single one of these countries is still the same from when they were first made. The only ones that have really changed are ones
Sicilia,
more.
Flokia, Capra, and Miglia.
Oh yeah, and a little bit of Atia and Laos.
And Shinovar.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. But hangs on home to the Bartusian Church, as it were, which worships a primordial water deity, as it were, who most people don't even know the real name of, as it were. It's kind of the Bartusian Church is split into different sects, as it were. One of them being the Parliament Inquisition, which you know what happens if there's an Inquisition, folks.
What? I didn't see that coming.
Oh my gosh. Nice. Alright. So here we go. So it's a theocracy led by the Portuga Imperatus, which is the largest sect of the religion. The primordial god of the sea is called Istitia, as it were. The main one of the it's cut into several different branches, as it were. One of the branches founded was actually. Yeah, Lord is really thrown all over the place because we don't organize this thing.
Oof.
Sorry about the folks at home. We're kind of throwing this partially last minute together.
Hey, anyway, but there's the Portuga Exterminatus who dress in scarlet robes and unearth moral corruption, and they really like destroying any corruptness in the church. There's the Inquisition, which they mainly hunt down like people who worship demons and devils, as it were, and evil magic mainly.
Or just drow.
It's only if they're evil drow. Which means, since they're bordering Capra, you can assume most of them are going to be evil. But the Pertusian Inquisition actually spreads far into the south. In fact, I believe, as it were, the Pertusian Inquisition has made inquiries into Suchion, where a lot of tieflings go to a massive necropolis on a pilgrimage, and the Inquisition likes to think that the tieflings are there making deals with devils and worshiping them and demons and the like. When really it's a safe place where no deals are made or carried out. So it's more like a safe place for tieflings to go. And it's kind of like a pilgrimage for them, in a way, because it's a place where they can repent for their sins, I guess, that they were turned into tieflings and weren't born as them. It's also a place for them to find respite, as it were, since a large amount of tieflings are there, and they can find safe harbor amongst themselves, since tieflings aren't really counted anywhere else besides Laos, but that's something for another time. As of the Age of Strife, it's still going strong. No major issues for the most part. I mean, it's mainly trying to deal with the current issues that you got to deal with. You know, work raids, drow, a fucking spell plague to your Far East. But hey, that's par for the course when you live in Kesia, isn't it? When you live in a D&D world in general.
Well, one that at one point might have gotten a handful of powerful magical items got in the hand of a few select players.
And they whipped open a portal to the Shadowfell, which unleashed a spell plague. I'm not mad. Who's mad?
Calm down. You're fine. Take a breather.
I'm joking. Anything else you guys want to say? Oh, the center of Hangzon I believe back when we first started building Hangzon, there would be a desert near the center, but that might have changed near the border between it and Hangzon. But that might have changed recently, as it were. It's mainly forest, coast, and plains for the most part.
Mainly coast.
Yeah, very mainly coast.
I believe, wasn't there a portion where they had where there was some desert region?
Yeah, I believe it was towards the border with Hangzon in the middle.
All right. Yeah. One thing I will say, maybe this is my historical bits and pieces speaking here, but My memory's blanking out on me now. The Portuguese church and just sort of their whole setup there and the country they're in. To me, that just kind of just absolutely screams, like medieval Catholic Church style.
Well, yeah, but
particularly from those from Iberia.
True. I mean, that's basically what they are in a way. But
Admittedly brings a rather interesting addition to Kesia.
yeah, physics is like they're mainly a dominant player in the West, with each region of Kesia really having its own. With each region of Kesia really having its own hemispheres as a result, and the Inquisition playing a really heavy part in its hemisphere, as it were. Wherever the Inquisition goes, you know that Hengzan is not too far behind.
Oh yeah.
But I think that's all I really have to say about Hengzan as it were.
Same here.
Are you got anything else you want to say about Hengzan? I know that I've heard that you plan on going to it in Time as Ominous at some point.
Yes. Well, with the confines of the campaign, it won't get too much into Portusian politics and polites. There are actually quite a few characters from Hang San in the campaign. And most of them, well, I kind of just, honestly, I brought some in from Hang San because I'm a huge fan of their Portusian culture. And a lot of good arts and architecture were formed there. I'm sure he's got some examples up on the board. We can't show them right now. It's just hard to throw so many images at once at you. But that's all I want to say on that behalf. And with regard to the campaign itself, we'll be dealing with how Hang San specifically deals with magical anomalies, which is, to say very interestingly, to say the case. Vice and we talked about, well, what if this happens? And Vice was like, well, the most that I would do is probably tax it. Taxing a magical anomaly. It's very interesting, to say the least.
Do I even want to know how that's going to go for us?
No. I'll let it surprise you when it comes.
AKA, God help us all.
But I do like how, with his investigating thing, he's got, or with his Inquisition, I'm sorry, there's investigation and, like, straight on, we're bringing in all the paladins to smite the evil type. You know, it's kind of split into those two parts.
Oh yeah. Certainly brings on the ability to have certainly different modes of different types of campaigns occur within the same place. So.
Oh, with that, I think that we should move on from Hengzan. To Sunxian, as it were, where I have a lot more notes, as it were.
Yes.
So Sunxian, the land of the Tieflings, and the land where unfortunately the Tieflings don't happen to get along with the Pertusian religion that likes to hang around in their towns currently. So first things first. Just like Sunxian, just like Hengzan, it has a large Pertusian culture there, but it kind of mixes together with the Koyese culture, which has a little bit more of a Korean influence, as it were. Currently, funnily enough, Sunxian has a low population of monsters, just like just reference. Monster population-wise as well, Hengzan has a little bit of a sustained monster population, which means it's not low, but it's not high. Meanwhile, Sunxian gets to be one of the few countries that has to deal with a low monster population. So you're not going to find a lot of monster hunters there, as it were. Probably the Pertusian Inquisition doing their fucking job. Like they should. But that's how they usually do it. That's how they usually do their things. What else besides that? there's an Acropolis of the Tieflings where they get to reside in. And it's also going to be the subject of a future, not campaign, but adventure at some point. If not by Vice, then by myself, as it were.
And, is that currently related to any ongoing campaigns or ones that are yet to start up or continue?
For me, it's related to an ongoing campaign that we haven't done in a while, since last May, as it were. Which, for reference, is the Southern Star, which is the star on the Southern Horizon, or as I've monikered it, the Southern Star Rises, which is the first campaign that I ran and will soon run at some point. But I do look forward to it, because Suncheon does seem like an interesting place with all the tieflings there. Its relationship with Oncheon is kind of estranged, as it were. They very much do not trust the Order of Magi or the Swords of Justice, as it were. They don't, because they view them as more of an antagonist more than anything else. Out of all the, well, not as out of all the countries, but they're one of the few countries that really don't like them. And it's because Suncheon prefers non-magical means to solutions. It wouldn't have anything to do with the fact that they had a large amount of refugees in Heijan that brought the spell plague down with them. We all know that the spell plague is causes a lot of damage for basically the entire West, as it were. But besides that, I don't really have anything else much to say about Suncheon. What you guys? Actually.
When looking at Shushion and that general region, I get kind of a very much a Conan the Barbarian sword and sorcery kind of feel from that region.
Makes sense.
Maybe it's just because I really like the idea of those kinds of settings. But I kind of get that feeling from Shucheon. And if anything else, in the near or distant future, I might even opt to do something in there just purely based off of that. Real quick, it sounds for the past little bit, we've brought up the spell plague.
Yep.
What is a spell plague?
Basically, so in the Forgotten Realm and in Kesia, as a result, since we kind of co-opted that as well, also thanks to Vice, there's this thing called the weave. Basically, how you manipulate strands of the weave allows you to do magic, as it were. And each person has a unique variation of how they pluck a string on the weave. So each person has a unique set of magic. However, there's a little bit of a problem. When in normal Forgotten Realms, when the goddess of magic, Mysera, died, the weave and the anti-weave fell apart, and that caused magic to go awry. Magic mages went insane, magical items were destroyed, entire lands were sundered by blue flame, the like. However, in Kesia, the circumstance on the spell plague comes from the fact that a mystic who got their hands on a ring of plane shifting, as it were, decided to mess around with it. They failed their role to understand what they were doing and tore open a portal to the Shadowfell. Unfortunately, at the same time, a black dragon was nearby. That black dragon was corrupted by that Shadowfell energy and became a shadow dragon. And that player, along with two other players, had to kill that shadow dragon. But its death spawned a dispersal of that Shadowfell energy across Heijan, as it were, mainly in the northeastern bits, and basically turned it from a vibrant and lovely land into basically nature overgrown and monsters running around all over the place. The Minotaurs, which were native to Heijan, disappeared off the map as they retreated within their clan lands and haven't been seen since. At the same time, the Arakakra, who lived in the mountains of Heijan, the mountains that were also corrupted by the spell plague, disappeared as a result as well, leaving only their Flokian brethren and their Terzokian brethren, each one unique from the Haitianese, as it were. And the spell plague was kind of like this big climactic thing that happened in the span of 3 months. In the span of 1 month in Kesia, and it was propagated by a Koyese high elven wizard who decided to use that energy to gain more power and as a result become a lich as well. And it ended when the goddess Mystera decided to personally intervene with the Order of Magi and stop the spell plague as a result, stopping it from spreading. However, the damage was done as Haitianese lands, Capran lands, Miglian lands, and all three of those countries had land that was basically blighted by the spell plague. And currently, it is Monster Haven. Not many people. The entire area has a population of 0, as not many people are willing to brave the rough experience.
With that being said, I should mention that there's actually a city smack dab in the middle of that land.
Oh no, there are cities there, but they're all abandoned.
Oh.
Every city in there, while on the map, generally speaking, is abandoned. No one stays there anymore.
Ooh.
Only monster hunters and the Order of Magi even dare to go in there. And even the Order of Magi have to be careful because magic itself is unstable while they're in the spell plague because its effects on the weed can still be felt.
And what? Since the spell plague has basically ripped asunder this portion of the continent, would there be any sort of timetable for this area being able to mend itself and return to the status quo in some respect?
Without any intervening, if it was just the Order of Magi and all of them doing their thing, it would take hundreds of years for it to. It's basically like a magical Chernobyl went up. It's not going to take millions of years to go back to normal. It's going to take at least 100 years for this place to even go back to normal. Keep in mind this happened in 983. At least it's been 2 years since it went down, and most people don't stay there anymore. There's only a few inhabitants who are willing to stay in that spell plague, and those inhabitants aren't exactly good people. That we'll go into later, most likely.
Yes, indeed.
But that was the thing about the spell plague, and with that, I'd like to shift again from Suncheon, this time to Ocean, which I have a lot more for, because it's called Sailor's Bay. So first things first, this place got hit by a tsunami.
I can believe it.
I believe that.
Ouch!
Now, this tidal wave.
Mm-hmm.
When exactly did this occur?
In Vice's notes, actually, he spoke that it happened in 984 to 985, as it were. And the case for it occurring was actually the fact that the Ocean likes to blame Heijan for this, as it were. They blame the halflings for stealing a magical artifact that would have protected their land, and when they supposedly stole it from them, it caused mass upheaval in the system as it were, and actually not, and the tsunami hit them, and it was 984. And since Ocean is very much a naval power, it lost a lot of harbors during the tsunami. So now it's an easy target for pirates to go and attack.
All right.
Also at the same time. There's also a large number of demonic cults in Ocean, which would explain why there's such a large number of blood hunters as well. Which blood hunters, as you know, for those of you guys that don't know, is a homebrew class made by Matthew Mercer. So the blood hunters have grown in a large number, and they all have a headquarter inside the country. Since it has a problem with an undead, with undead recently, because Hengzan had to use a crusade to wipe out a powerful vampire cult that was hiding out in Ocean. Yeah. there's also rumored that Ocean has a portal into the Shadowfell, as it were. And a lot of people want to make sure they can find that portal because they want to make sure that no matter what, that portal gets either closed or just contained. Because for some reason, a lot of the supernatural are drawn to Ocean for some reason. No one really knows why.
So, Ocheon is, if anything else, is kind of will be the horror country for this land.
Oh yeah, especially. And what's funnily enough is that there's a rumor of an ancient vampire who likes to play a little fun in Ocean by plucking adventurers in a fog. They only know him by one name.
What's that?
Strahd.
Wowee.
Yes, good old Strahd.
This is a disappointment.
But no one can seem to find him. The few who have been able to find him never came back, or who went out to find him anyway.
Now, I'm just kind of curious. Is this a sort of backdoor method to bring in Curse of Strahd and maybe Ravenloft?
Actually, funnily enough, Curse of Strahd is brought in because it's in the Shadowfell. So technically speaking, at any moment, if you're near a Shadowfell infected area, the mists start rolling in, and suddenly you find yourself in Barovia.
Alright.
Where you're now in Strahd's domain. You can have fun dealing with that fucking mess.
What an amazing mess.
It can't be worse than the first edition version of Ravenloft, my dude.
Depends on the DM.
True. So, Ocean. Land of horror, pirates, and ocean.
Yep! And home of what used to be some beautiful mixture between Shino, which is Greek, and Korean architecture. And now it's mostly drawn back into the sea.
Wah, wah.
But, hey, maybe they were able to fix themselves up a bit after 1984 to try and fix what had happened. But until then...
Get winter-holded.
But until then, that's all we got for him. You guys got any comments on Ocean as well?
Well, as I said, I feel like Ocean is just Winterhold, but there's no college there.
Actually, there is.
Oh, they do.
They're pro the Order of Magi, as it were, because the Order of Magi is the only people, one of the only people that can actually help them with their powers.
Those islands to the southeast of it, the ones that look semi-developed, are those part of Ocean?
Nope. All the islands off Kesia belong to no... Well, the one that's to the west of Tangzan belongs to Pertusia, as it were, but everything south and east of Kesia, no one else.
Ah, little free states, I suppose.
Yep, in fact, on that island to the southeast of Kesia, to the southeast of Terzokia, as it were, the big circular one, that one is home to pirates.
Arr.
Yar
har.
Oh, man.
So yeah, Ocean, a place where a good naval campaign can take place, a place where a good horror campaign can take place, and generally a place that really needs to get fixed up.
Yep.
So what I'm hearing is Cthulhu is in the water somewhere.
Or consumed by Flokia.
Flokia touched that on us.
Last time I checked, the dwarves don't swim.
Not even deep dwarves swim. They dig.
A funny thing to note about Ocean is I feel like it has the lowest population out of all the countries. Except for perhaps Miglia, I'm not too sure.
Let me check that actually.
Yeah.
I would imagine that tsunami really poured away a bunch of people, and just looking at the map itself, most of the cities are very sparsed out. And the ones that I would imagine are near the coast would probably be washed away most of the time.
Yeah, no, could have pulled a New Orleans and came back just
Could have pulled a New Orleans.
What? I'm not wrong.
Well,
in a society, in a place like this, there's likely... Okay, sorry. Sorry there. I'm currently watching the stream to see how it goes, so I was buffering. But in like a place like Ocean that has plenty of oceans, or is heavily based on the water. No, this might be my engineering background kicking in here.
Yeah.
But I would probably see Ocean, like investing in levees and flood control measures, or storm surge measures.
Ooh, spicy.
That'd be a good idea. Actually, funnily enough, Ocean has a higher population than Shinovar, with 15.9 million people living in its shores, living in its walls.
All right.
So what has the smallest population?
Miglia.
Ah!
4.7 million people.
Oof.
Well, it can be assumed that after going through a 10-year revolution to free themselves from captor and slave owners, much of their population would have been decimated.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, Ocean, I like it. I look forward to visiting it at some point. Don't actually, we will be visiting it, or one of the supplementals for Shinovar, as it were.
Oh, great! I
Okay,
get to visit it too.
Who is
All right, I'll just say who it is. So all the party members will be visiting Central/Western Kesia. Our resident Noel Fenrock, played by Carr, and our resident human bard Pin, played by Roxy, will be heading to Sunxian to search for the legendary bard. Our resident warlock, good. Our resident warlock Ray, with her devil patron Amos, will be heading to Ocean to find the mysterious Shadowfell portal.
Ooh.
And our resident Oath of Vengeance paladin Beiji, played by Perry, who's going no right now. We'll be heading back home to Miglia to try and figure out what the fuck to do and find his family.
So someone's going to Ocean, someone's going to Miglia, and someone's going where?
To Sunxian.
Gotcha.
Yep, 2 are headed to Sunxian, 1 to Ocean, and 1 to Miglia.
Nice.
But with that, it's time to rotate once again, as this time we're headed north to Heijan.
I don't know why you didn't do that one after the Spell Plague, because the Spell Plague really shaped up most of its history.
Funnily enough, before the Spell Plague, Heijan was a poor man's empire. It was shrunken down so low because Sunxian, Ocean, Capra, Flokia, and Hangzhou were just taking pieces out of it. But then that Spell Plague hit. It got invaded by the Lich King of Chardon, aka the guy who used the Spell Plague to his full advantage, had Spell Plague taken over, and then it just came back like a king and took a lot of land back, as it were. Heijan is home.
But isn't that a lot of Heijan's land spell plague ridden though? Per se?
You see where Heijan's name is?
Yeah.
That giant area of Spell Plague land. That's about it.
Alright. I thought it was much larger, but anyway, sorry.
It's pretty big, as it were, but still. But yeah, Heijan is mostly home to the halflings and gnomes, as it were, who are also famous Koyi's archers, as it were. If you see those guys coming towards you on horseback with bows, well, I can't tell you to run.
Cue Mongoltage.
Well, I can't tell you to run because you're dead anyway. Just pray that the arrow hits somewhere that you'll die quickly.
Alright.
Heijan, as it were, it was a pretty good empire, as it were. I mean, it lasted as long as it did. It might have been going downhill, but hey, it did its job of holding on to what land it had. And funnily enough, many people, for example, Lalus in the East sees it as the only worthy contender in a fight when it comes to Kesia for conquering the entire landscape. As it were, actually, Heijan, as it were, doesn't really want to conquer all of Kesia, I believe, because to them.
Well, I mean, for starters, it probably just lacks the resources right now.
That is true. Funnily enough, halflings do. Right now, the halflings do rule over Heijan currently, but the Fey courts of the Feywild don't exactly agree that they deserve to rule over the land. In fact, apparently there's been wars between the halfling dynasties and the phase from the Feywild, as it were.
Interesting.
So Heijan has almost political ties to the Fey Court in the Feywild, or is it some sort of?
It's more like so much nature rules over the place that it's so much nature rules over the place that the Fey have so much influence that it makes sense that they would So it would make sense that they would want to say this. Also, as it were, as Vice later revealed in a lore dump that he did, Hengzan had a lot of portals to the Feywild. A lot of those were corrupted and turned into Shadowfell portals, as it were. So technically speaking, Heijan was a center of Feywild culture before the spell plague hit. Also, funnily enough, a lot of supernatural stuff happens in Heijan, and it's common enough to where they're used to it. In fact, one of their customs is shaped around that, because spirits are a common thing in Heijan. So common that Koyi's people aren't afraid of them. In fact, they talk to them. It's seen as a sign of good luck if you see a fallen family member and still offering guidance to you as a ghost. But at the same time, it's a good idea. One of the unforgivable crime in Heijan is killing a neighbor. Killing a neighbor could spawn a vengeful ghost, which pop up more in Heijan than anywhere else, to be honest, in Western Kesia.
And kind of the last thing they need is a bunch of angry ghosts running around when they could easily corrupt other ghosts.
That's an understatement. Yeah. Yeah.
So since Heijan has such a focus on ancestral worship, would it assume that the primary religion of Heijan would have a large focus on that, or is that more of a cultural holdover that they have?
Repeat that again.
Since Heijan they have ancestral worship as a part of their culture, is that a part of their primary religion, or is that a culture thing?
I think it's a culture thing. Specifically speaking, halfling countries weren't really that. Halfling culture, as it were, just baseline, doesn't really focus on spirits that much, as it were. At least I don't think so in the halfling pantheon anyway. Most of it is mainly based around staying where they are and living a traditional life. But hey, it's something that they adopted and they very much take pride in it, as it were.
Alright.
But Heijan is technically two countries in one. We have Heijan, and then we had what's left of Chardon, which is a country that was founded by. No one knows his old name anymore. They only know the new name that he goes by, technically speaking, after he was resurrected. The former Lich King of Chardon, Cyrus, as it were. He was a high elf who was from the region, and he wanted to live forever, as it were, because of his evil nature, he would never be able to reincarnate. It's only good-natured elves in the Seldarin are allowed to reincarnate. Instead, he decided to follow Lichdom, and as a result, he saw the spell plague as a perfect opportunity, and along with the spell plague energy and wish, he was able to turn himself into a powerful lich. He proceeded to lay waste to most of Heijan, as it were. Well, he was pushed back by the Koyi, but at the same time, powerful mage, and it took the combination of almost every mage across the continent. I want to say, blood hunters, paladins, the like, monsters all together. They all had to unite against the Lich King and his followers, and they were barely able to pull out a win.
How close are we talking?
If it weren't for the sacrifice of many blood hunters, many mages, many paladins and the like, and even a member of the Council of Magi, as it were, they wouldn't have been able to kill him. He had done a certain thing with his phylactery to where there was no way they could possibly kill him. So what they had to do was they had to take a experimental crystal in one of the mage's staffs stick it into him, and then supercharge him with enough magic to where it would obliterate him and the unfortunate person that was in within range of the crystal. It was a suicide mission, and one person decided to undergo it as a result, sacrificing their life to save almost all of Kesia as a result. Yep. So yeah, the spell plague, despite being only recent, still has a lot of weathered history, and it shows what happens when magic goes awry. It's the main focal point for why the Order of Magi exists, and it's what they tout as their reason for existing and doing what they have to do. Because they're like, unless you want another one of these, you'll let us do what we want. You'll let us do what we need to do. But anything to comment about Hadron as it were, whether it be the Spellplug lands or the Halfling Gnomish lands?
Halfling Mongols is pretty interesting.
I find it interesting also, since usually halflings are depicted as simply either the stay-at-home type of people.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be Lord of the Rings or just simply the image that people get from the word halfling and short, kindly people. But them being the owners of an empire, I find as a pretty interesting detail. Something that I believe in kind of echoes I believe trope in D&D and the Forgotten Realms of halflings riding on dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Actually, no, Dark Sun. Dark Sun, I believe, is when those appear.
Yeah, we don't have halflings riding dinosaurs. We do have halflings riding horses and shooting you with a bow or a crossbow. Probably a bow though, and it's gonna be a long bow. Because let's be honest, those halflings have probably gotten used to it.
Yeah, true.
One good arrow, and you're gone.
That's fair. What's next on the roster?
Next up on the list, as it were, is so these past ones have all been credited to Bryce, and now this is which I'm glad that he's developed them, and I look forward to seeing what else he has in store for them, and I look forward to using his knowledge to visit them as well. But next up on the roster, as it were, is the infamous Capra. Technically my land. This is where the Underdark opens up and has a country of their own on the surface. It is home to Drow, it is home to the Deep Gnomes, it is home to the Grey Dwarves. This is where they make their home, and this is where their slave, I want to say empire, but it's not, existed. In fact, for a little while, Capra even owned Miglia, as it were, or some extension of the Underdark is. They like to attribute it to Capra, but Capra likes to say that they weren't the ones who owned it.
Yeah, whole national pride. We're the ones on the surface. Everyone else fucking listen to us. Kind of mentality does affect that.
Yeah, kind of bit them in the ass there.
But why are you hesitant to call it a slave empire, Capra?
Well, I wouldn't call it an empire for one. That's the main thing. I mean, slave, that's common enough. I mean, the Drow society folds around slaves, and the Drow make up the majority of Capra. In fact, the matriarchy is supreme there, as it were. In fact, also, I would like to mention the three members of the Order of Magi that come from the West, as it were. In the West, we have from Hengzan, Saint Ignacio, a paladin and a half-elf with mysterious background. For the southeast, we have the mysterious bard of Suncheon, as it were. And in the southwest, and the west, southwest, and then in the northwest, we have the Warlock of Loth, whose name I'll be getting in a moment. But she reigns domain over Capra for purposes for the Council of Magi, as it were. But yeah, Capra follows the Stark Seldarin to the nth degree. Loth is their mistress. Though sometimes they don't worship her, they worship other members. But for the most part, the Dark Elves reign supreme here. Not much has gone on with them history-wise. I mean, it's been the usual for them, just Drow living in the Underdark, as it were. And sometimes you hear rumors about excursions against Capra coming from the Underdark, like as if there's more countries in the Underdark warring against Capra, but nothing's ever erupted to the surface, as it were, because maybe Capra make sure that it doesn't spill out there, because they might get blamed for it.
Also, it kind of knowing a little bit about Drow culture and the political moves that they might make against each other. To a certain degree, they need to maintain a facade with the rest of Kesia, that they are strong and united, quote unquote, and not to be messed with, and they have control over their regions.
Yeah, because if they don't look that way, then it starts to look bad for them.
Capra is a mainly underground or underdark civilization, correct?
Yep.
What is the surface of Capra like?
The surface of Capra, as it were, is actually verdant and green because they do need a food source and everything that they can trade with the outside world so that they can make money off of it or even eat it themselves if they wanted to. But it's actually quite beautiful, as it were, which is a stark comparison against the people who live there. Some scholars, some explorers have even said, when I have talked about the fact that when they go to Capra, they expect to see this wasted and desolate land. But no, that's the halfling land back there. Over here we got verdant fields that are being farmed by drow that are trying to hide from the sun.
So you'd say there's like some of these cities that you see here on this map are above ground as well as below ground.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Capra, just like Fokia, Capra has the habit of having cities that start above ground and stretch deep underground. In fact, there are entire tunnel systems that lead into what is known as the Upper Dark, where the drow like to live.
Okay. So really, in a place like Capra, we're likely to, like, say a traveler, they would be likely to run into like inverted cities, so to speak.
Yeah.
That are probably open to air and then go down.
Yeah.
All right. And mentioning the drow like toiling in the fields and gathering food from their harvest. I'm sorry to say this, but I'm kind of imagining like just a bunch of goths like working in the middle of the field, like dressed in black. Like they technically have quote unquote workers' clothes on, but they still have to wear their complete entire black.
And they just put a hat on to avoid they put on like a hat to avoid something like. Ugh.
And don't forget about the spike collars or whatever else they like to wear, because it's this drow we're talking about.
That is true.
So with Capra being on the surface and Underdark, basically this being Underdark species and Haven on the surface, how does that affect the local the region around it?
Well, we get raids in Hexon. Hexon doesn't like the drow as a result, and that's made them distrustful of elves in general, as it were, until a local half elf from the east, came to meet with Saint Ignacio, a half elf of the west, and the two of them, both West and the Mages, as it were, decided to come together to deal with the spellplague threat. So that kind of shifted the Elvish perspective a little bit, but they still don't trust drow that much, as it were. From Hejon, not as much, because Capra doesn't really care for them much. With Miglia, it's complete and utter hatred for the most part, because the two of them are vehement rivals.
Which we'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah, and then there's also Sicilia, which Sicilia doesn't really play that much of a factor when it comes to Capra. The two of them kind of just have a thing on, you don't mess with me, I don't mess with you, as it were. Despite the fact that Sicilia is home to a lot of Aesir, and Capra, as it were, is home to a lot of Loth is technically a demon, and there are demon cults within those lands. So, basically, if you're
Angels and devils right next to each other.
Yep. Or angels and demons, rather. But yeah, as it were, if you're someone who doesn't like demons or devil, and you don't like evil, well, I don't know what to say with you being near Capra. You're going to see a lot of that.
So, probably as a segue into the next country, want to talk about a little bit about the recent history of Capra.
Well, Capra lost their lands in 950. Capra, quote unquote, lost some of their land in the 950s when Miglia revolted in the Great Revolution, as they like to call it. Or in Capra's case, the Draconic Sundering, I think, would be a proper name for it.
Draconic Sundering.
Would be the proper name for it, since they lost a slew of underground tunnels that pierced into Miglia, as it were. So it was kind of like they lost a trade net. They lost a raiding network and a trade network that stretched all the way over to Flokia, as it were. Because the Underdark is a shifting set. Is never the same. It's always shifting, and there's only certain areas that stay the same. And Miglia was one of the few places where they had prominent tunnels that didn't shift much. As if they lost that, now they have to brave the ever-shifting tunnels that head through places like Hejan or Sicilia.
All right.
Currently, the Matron of Loth is still the same as ever, but she has come into conflict with the top warlock of Loth, Sangria. She likes to call herself by her title. She's a member of the Council of Magi, and rumors have it that she's making a play to try and usurp the Matron as the leader of Capra.
So could there be a case of almost a civil war sparking within Capra because of this, or would it be quiet enough, almost like the Soviet Union type changes, where you just see one person disappear and then the next person just takes their place?
I'd say more of the latter, because the Drow don't like to make things public. They like to do things quietly, so that way when they do take out their enemies, no one can officially say that they did it, but everyone basically knows what they did. As ever, the Drow always backstab each other until they have a threat that they need to go against.
It's almost like if they were to stop backstabbing each other, they might actually be a threat to everyone else around them.
Yep. But that's the nature of the Underdark. Is there anything else you want to say about Capra?
No.
Anything about the Underdark?
The Underdark. Well, that's everywhere. I mean, we could have a whole other podcast about the Underdark in Kesia.
Yeah, that's true.
So for right now, I feel like the Underdark in Capra will just suffice.
Yeah. Yes, I will say that the Underdark in Kesia, just as simply the encounter that people might have in Capra, is almost like the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. So and I do agree with Carr. The Underdark in itself is a whole different discussion.
Ooh, yeah. Alright. Next up on the list is Miglia. This is where Perry gets to take a stand.
Yes, indeed.
What do you gotta tell us about Miglia?
Well, first off, it's a draconic nation. The majority of the population are fall under what I like to call the draconics of Kesia. The dragonborn, dragons, kobolds, and dragon echoes, with a smattering of other races that were unfortunate enough to be slaves to the Capra masters back in 954 of the Age of Strife. It is the youngest nation out of everyone, every other nation on Kesia, and with the second youngest being Torzokia, clear out in the east.
Torzokia, I think Miglia is 50, right? I think Torzokia is like 100? 100, 300.
No, it was founded in the Age of Strife 700.
Yes. Oh, yes. I know it was like somewhere between 70 and like 500. Excuse me. Yeah, it's 300 years old.
Yeah.
Alright, so...
Meanwhile, Miglia is sitting here with his 50-year-old ass. Who does Whelp think he is?
It is...
Well, considering that I was able to knock Capra off its block and take almost a fifth of its land in one fell swoop. The nation itself has both a lot to live up to, but also in a way, a bright future ahead of it, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's true.
Funny enough, the yesterday and today I started really putting an effort into world building and focusing on putting a lot of focus on Biglia, both for the future Shinovar game for Sin here to make it easier on him,
Thank you.
but also for myself, for myself and the other world builders at Kesia, so that they might have a standard lore to run with rather than the disparate ideas I keep throwing around.
Which is very much thankful.
Mm-hmm. The history of Biglia as a nation started with the what they like to call the revolution. This being in the winter of 954, Biglia basically sparking the fight for their own independence from Capra. Starting out in what would be the future capital, and spreading out from there. The Biglians, after about 10 years of a dubious fight, as it felt like, were able to have some form of sovereignty over themselves, with the creation of probably arguably the first representative government.
Actually, I think Torzokia beats it because it's a parliament.
Yep, Torzoki would beat it.
But
they're the only two.
They are the only two republics, though.
Yep, the only two. Everyone else is either a monarchy or a plutocracy or an oligarchy.
Yes. Torzoki is, I think, a republican ministry.
Yep.
That sounds about right.
Meanwhile, here comes Google going, do you want to say? Do you want to say? But with Italian accents.
And people running around with Chinese
and dragon
names,
tongues.
Because you're God.
Because, what's culture?
I'm gonna say this right now, folks. I blatantly rip off the real world here for inspiration of the government. Basically, Miglia rips off the real world U.S. government for the 3-branch method.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we have in Torzokia. I don't think there's 3 branches in Torzokia.
No, there's like 15.
We can discuss that later.
That's a news for me. Jeez.
Each ministry is its own branch, per se.
Okay. So there's 3 branches: the royal executive branch, the legislative branch, and the elder judiciary branch. Judicial branch. Basically, save for the elder judicial branch, the royal executive and the legislative are electable offices.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, Joe Schmuck, you as Joe Schmuck can fill out the paperwork and become a candidate on the ballot. Do all the campaign you want, yada yada yada, gather votes, and if you have enough, you can potentially get a seat in either the legislative branch as one of the many representatives, or somehow make it straight to the top and take probably like room 500 in the Tower Revolution. So, the main distinctions between the legislative and royal executive is that the royal executive often has the rich and powerful, the equivalent of nobility in Biglia, be those on the roster often. And then the legislative branch is often the Joe Schmucks and up-and-coming politicians.
Hey, at least the guys passing the laws are the guys who it affects the most.
True. And thus it kind of keeps the focus of the nation on the people rather than those rich and powerful.
True.
While meanwhile the elder judicial branch is Not electable, but rather by appointment and by experience and by age. On the low end, if you're like a 21-year-old elf or a 21-year-old human living in Miglia, you can apply to be a judge or a lawyer, or you can be a law enforcement officer or a lawyer within the Elder Judicial Branch. And you can climb up the ladder as quickly as possible. But the flip side of that is you're going to hit a glass ceiling, so to speak, that everyone has to go through. This glass ceiling being that there is a certain age requirement in order to become the head judiciaries of the branch.
What's the age requirement?
Basically, whenever you're considered an elder by your race. Keep in mind there are elves and dragons walking around, so
the humans be like, I'm considered an elder at like 50, my dude.
So when you turn 50, you'll be able to go through the process of being appointed to a elder judicial position.
I assume that a lot of young humans who want to rise up in their station a lot faster than that don't really like it that much.
Also, and there's also a handful of Dragonborn that would love to be able to get further up. But at the same time, with the way the judicial branch is set up, it would likely require a change to the Miglian Constitution in order for such a change to occur.
Can we see a change like that soon, or is it too early?
Too early right now, being that with the founders still alive, the founders of the Miglian government still being alive, they still have a whole lot of sway on politics and general policy involving the Constitution.
Okay.
Also, it probably doesn't help that some of them are in the Elder Judicial Branch.
Yeah, that would be a big oops.
But the flip side is the Elder Judicial Branch does have a lot of representation within it. Meaning that in order to prevent all elves or all ancient dragons from taking over, there's literally a kind of racial quota present to keep that reflects the population or the portions of the population that are either elf, dragonborn, dragon neko, whatever you want to call it, whatever your stripe is.
Mm-hmm.
And this is primarily done to make sure that, if anything else, the Elder Judicial Branch represents the rest of the actual population. When the legislative or the executive branch doesn't conform to that degree of reflection.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What do you think Wrigley's policy of the outside world is?
they're very independent, to put it mildly.
And to put it bluntly,
They would rather fail 1,000 times than to call uncle and have someone else come in and do it for them.
so very stubborn and hard-headed.
Indeed. Maybe giving dwarves a run for their money on the stubbornness.
Okay, Dragonborn, chill.
But at the same time, this is a entire nation that was formerly slaves less than 30 odd years ago, when having gone through 10 years of revolution to get their freedom, and as of 984 have had their first generation of children live under the Miglian banner rather than the banner of a Capra noble.
Well, a lot of patriotism is what I expect to hear from Wrigley.
Very much so. Even though Miglia might have some cultural differences among itself, i.e., primarily looking at the punk city of Kola in the southwestern corner of the nation, they still have a love and respect for their country, they still have a love and respect for their country, but also give a critical eye to it, seeing that since they're the youngest in the world and taking on a series of ideology that hasn't been tested out anywhere else, save for Torzokia, kind of all eyes are on them. And also, they kind of put themselves up on a high standard when they're building for their central government, the Tower of Revolution, which is a superstructure by our standards, being large enough to be seen anywhere in the country, even when you're standing at the border. And, this being built by slaves with very little technical background or architecture, they've put themselves up on a high standard that they need to maintain. They feel they need to maintain.
I bet they do their best on top of that. What about internally? How are they doing?
On the outside, it would be kind of suburban Kesia, in that everyone has 3 square meals a day. They live in safe areas and the like. Internally, Miglia is struggling. Have a lot of growing pains with a very bad rash of corruption and racism, draconic racism appearing within the ranks of their military.
Yeah, and causing a bit of a problem with one of the characters of the Trinivar game.
Indeed, Beiji being driven out from his home from his home village and sent and flung out into the world due to this. The corrupt commanders of the military allowing for the massacre of non-draconics in both the cities and the country. This is even going as far as targeting the good drow that aided the draconics in their revolution for survival, for their revolution for freedom and independence. I cannot remember their name right now, but they follow a chaotic good god in the drow pantheon, like the only one.
Yeah, as it were, her last name is Moonbow, as it were. Elsuri Moonbow, a chaotic good who betrayed Loth, as it were, and the secrets of how she betrayed her is kept by the Loth priest. She keeps that under key. But basically, she ran away from the Drow Pantheon, but she can't leave and go back to the Elven Pantheon because they don't like her either, so she just stays in the dark still doing it. And as it were, Drow have a fear of the full moon, because if you are out at night during a full moon, you can hear her singing. And her song will lull Drow towards her and as they like to say, turn them into her servants. Basically, she's the reason why there's those few good Drow in the world, because she basically draws them away and shows them how good servants life can be and how they don't need to be servants under law, as it were.
And these Drow, what was the name of the goddess again?
Let's see.
The followers of the Moonbow, because I'm not going to make an adjective out of her first name, are practically the prime examples of this, of good Drow being in the world. How they even, Dragonborn, those that know them intimately or closely, love their company. So, currently right now for Miglia, kind of just stuff I've been rolling around in my head right now. In comparison to the other countries in the world, Miglia might be considered one of the fastest growing. In terms of just developing an ecosystem, trying to build themselves up for the future and measure up to everyone else around them.
And what did I say about Miglia, as it were?
I hope to be able to host a campaign based around the region myself. Maybe one close to the end of the age and have them maybe contend with like a evil Null invasion or a monster invasion.
That'd be good.
Other than that, that'll probably just be something that Miglia um, until we can get we can really get like a campaign or attention driven towards it. Kind of in the background right now, but certainly in my center of attention in terms of world building.
Alright. Anything else you want to say? You want to say a little bit?
Well, not anything that's already hasn't been said. Miglia is honestly one of my favorite countries in Kesia. I can't get enough of that American-esque Dragonborn. Miglia! Miglia! Well, I do know that I have quite a bit of characters. Well, yeah, I have quite a bit of characters, including one player character in another campaign that was from Miglia, and they were all big on the politics and structure there. I don't want to get too much in depth with it.
Don't worry.
But I must say that was like one of my favorite characters, and totally want to actually do that campaign with you at some time when you get that rolling.
Oh yeah, and also once I get the it's just been doing that. Once I get the lore and world building straightened out for Kesia in the future, we'll hopefully I'll be able to have or want you guys to be able to start adding your own little additions to the small little Freedom Dragonborn country, Draconic country.
Freedom Dragonborn.
I don't have much else to say on Miglia. Again, we'll be visiting there soon enough. Don't know how many sessions, but we'll see.
I'll make sure to drag my feet as long as I'm possible.
I will drag your ass through this country if I have to. If you try to drag your feet on this fucking adventure, I am trying to get back to Shinovar. You are not taking that away from me. Anyway, so boys, we're moving north, south, or east.
Hey, I think we should talk about South Boy.
Hey!
We should talk about Flokia.
Flokia. So, is this mine or is this?
This is everyone. Everyone needs to give a little love to Flokia.
Okay, so Flokia. Man, were they railed on in the beginning when this road was made.
Dude, we shat the shit out of this country.
Let's see. Lost their 5th war against Shinovar. Got their asses handed to them by some gnolls up north, and generally just got the shit knocked out of them. And only now have they been starting to get a good light with them. Flokia is the gateway between the east and west of Kesia. You want one place where you're damn sure you're gonna be able to find a route to the east or west. It's Flokia for sure. This is where below surface we have the dwarves and the gnomes that live here. Above surface, we got your Wolfnecko. We have your Wolfnecko. We have your gnolls. We have your Aarakocras. We have your giants, and we have your Goliaths. They really like and we got your Goblinoids. They really like making their home here, as it were. So this is the land of stone, and this is the land of monsters. Above ground, you're gonna find monsters wherever you step, and wherever you step, you better make sure that it's a smart one,
or one that can at least be talked to.
Oh yeah. Well, in fact, it's so monstrous that there's an actual forest that is highlighted for the fact that no matter how many times they clear this motherfucking place out, it will always go back with monsters. It's known as the Eloi Forest, and by God, they make it a monthly mission to clear this motherfucking place out. At least a week after they clear it out. Oh hey, look, there's some new monsters in there. It is never fun to go in there.
Alright.
Hey, do you at least get trees from it?
No! They can't even do that. Because last time they tried that, a hag came in and blew them sky high.
Well, dang.
Not even just a regular druid that can be talked to.
Oh, there's some druids and nature clerics do live there. Only problem is that they got to deal with the monsters that are in there.
Oh boy.
So it kind of makes them hard to be nature clerics and druids.
Yep. Yeah, it's very much a headache situation for them.
Oh, I can imagine. So what? So let's talk a little about the... So, Flokia got kicked in the nuts by Shinovar 5 times
5 times!
in a war.
So the first time was actually near the beginning of the Age of Strife, because a volcano had erupted and basically had caused a massive famine across Kesia. Except in one place.
What's that?
Shinovar.
Of course.
So Volkir went, okay, we need food. We're gonna go conquer the open land to get us some goddamn food. They went down there. They got destroyed. Absolutely and utterly destroyed. They were like, how do we lose? We're literally one of the finest armies out here. So again, they try again. They lose. Third time, they lose. They're holding a grudge at this point. Fourth time, they lose. Fifth time, all 5 times they push forward a little bit. But then for some reason, some great commander comes in and just wham! Knocks their asses right out of Shinovar again. And it's like, how? Fifth time was actually funny because they had attacked some gnolls, as it were. And the gnolls decided to get back at them and had attacked Flokian lands. And that had caused situations where they had to pull troops away from the south, giving Shinovar a chance to really cause a counterattack that destroyed their southern fronts.
Mm-hmm.
So, if this diplomatic event did not occur with the gnolls, do you think the 5th time around they would have won? Or fought to a draw again?
Fought to a draw. Or would have lost. Because the fact of the matter is, the Shinovar did one thing that no one was doing at the time. Hey, why do we make the mages part of our military?
I can see where that changed things up.
Plus, they also got a smart commander who wasn't throwing his mages' lives away. And they had an artificer that was making gun chariots. So that was fun.
That's a story for a little bit later.
Man, you really want to put the fear of God in people when they see a horse-drawn chariot carrying cannons on it.
And then also being turned by a small little gnome who clearly is off his meds.
Yeah, Flokia is a monarchy, as it were, a long-standing monarchy. But actually, Flokia has had quite a few wins / draws, as it were, but not against Shinovar, as it were. Mainly against the dragons of the East, Lalus, because the giants have a long-standing feud with the dragons, and the dwarves have a long-standing feud with the orcs. And since the orcs and the dragons make up enough of Lalus, we knew they were going to come to blows. It was thanks to Flokia basically stopped Lalus's expansion westward during the 8th conquest, as it were. In fact, Lalus and Flokia are still bitter rivals to this day. As Lalus sees Flokia as the one thing stopping it from getting to its... Basically, they see Flokia as a really annoying stepping stone to their true enemy in the west, which is Heijan. Because above all else, Lalus wants to pit itself against the one other empire that stands a chance of possibly conquering all of Kesia. And Flokia is just getting in the damn way.
That's fair. And is this just sheer coincidence, or Heijan and Flokia have a long-standing relationship?
From my notes, no idea. At most, I see it as Flokia did the same thing to Heijan that Flokia is doing to Lalus. Basically, it's the one thing stopping these two powers from meeting each other.
So sort of it's the continent's middle child that's keeping the oldest and the youngest from fighting each other.
Yeah, and he's doing a damn flashing job of stopping them, too.
Alright.
What else to say about Flokia? One of the most favorite countries because it's the border between the East and West. Lots of monsters flow out of its lands to other lands, which makes a lot of people look at Flokia and go, the fuck? Its entire mage population emancipated itself from Flokia.
Oh, so there's no mages present there.
The only mages you'll find are the ones that choose to stay there, or the ones that are the Order of Magi over in the College of Flokia. Then dash out the Flokia part.
Understandable.
After a situation where the dwarves had led a killing spree against mages in Shinobar during the war. Funnily enough, as it were, it was spawned by countless mages suicide bombing themselves in Flokia.
Final little bundle of joy clearly Floki has experienced in the last couple of years.
So basically, they blame Shinobar and attacked them heavily as a result.
That's fair. Now, Floki has kind of been a center of a handful of campaigns, haven't they?
One campaign, one shot.
All right. These campaigns, this campaign and the one shot you did, did those contribute to the Floki and lore in any sort of way?
Onyx mainly contributes to the underground lore, as it were, mainly talking about what goes in the criminal empires, as it were. Not much else to state there, despite the fact, besides the fact that Onyx seems to be the one reigning criminal organization within Flokia, as it were. And at the same time, the one shot really goes with the idea that the Blood Hunters, not only per se with Flokia itself, but the Blood Hunters and the Order of Magi have a close relationship. As the one shot revealed that the Order of Magi sometimes hires the Blood Hunters to do jobs for them, as it were.
Alright.
Well, I mean, Flokia is the birthplace of our Knoll friend Fenrop, who only came to fruition because Flokia decided to enslave Knolls, which was not a good idea.
Well, it is what got them kicked in the teeth, though. Yeah, Flokia, despite having some bad decisions, it's making its way back, it's swinging, it's trying to make a comeback, and it's staying around. Actually, during the crisis in Sicilia, as it were, it was able to steal some hill mountainous land away from Sicilia, thus giving them a border with Miglia, thus opening up many trade options. Looking forward to progressing as time goes on.
It's Miglia trading time, boys.
It's Dragonborn trading time.
Time to get some dragon goods.
Which, admittedly, the Dragonborn, the Draconics of Miglia are very much interested in trading themselves.
True.
So, just doing a little bit of speculation on the grander scale of Kessian history.
Mm-hmm.
For the center powers here of Heijan, Flokia, Miglia, Capra, and in some respects Sicilia here. What do you think is in the future for Flokia and its neighbors?
I see Flokia as a bastion of the center, basically staying as the middleman. Basically, whatever conflict comes to Kesia, if it's between the east and the west, Flokia is going to be stuck in the middle of it, and it's probably going to choose a side, or it's going to be the side that says no. This ain't happening.
I feel like it is going to be the side that says no. It says no to a lot of things.
It's like, look, I'm willing to fight long wars, but I ain't doing this shit.
More like Nokia. Wait.
Hey, it never breaks.
It never breaks.
I might lose, but I never break.
I think there was a story where Nokia got shot by a bullet and still worked afterwards.
Yep, that's Flokia.
It got shot by the Knoll bullet. It got shot by the Elven bullet. It got shot by a Dragon bullet. It's still standing.
It still works.
I'm still standing. Yeah.
So, almost like a Switzerland neutral party. Are we going to be seen in for a little while?
It's the no party.
It's Switzerland, all right, but everyone tries to invade it.
So, no party. All right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
That's it. That's all comments I got. I should mention it's got 2 mountain ranges, correct?
Technically one, but it forms a valley that leads into Guildland, as it were. And this valley basically serves as the main buffer between Western Kesia and Eastern Kesia.
All right, I'm looking at the map right now, is why I'm saying that. And
technically, it's 2 mountain ranges that split off from one. It's technically 3. There's the one in Flokia, and then there's 2 that split off from it that join back together near the border of Guildland and Laos.
Alrighty. And there's...
Tectonics are weird in Kesia. Let's just say that.
You mind talking about that mountain range? Do you have that, like, any developed?
I would say that it is home... Basically, this entire mountain range, you're going to find droids mainly in the Flokian section, but the more up you go, the more the Aarakocra seem to take priority because they're the ones that live high up in the mountains, and they're really they take... As the Aarakocra like to call themselves, as the Aarakocra have a myth of the fact they used to be wardens of the air and the plane, they took that title and decided to make that a reality in Flokia and those mountains. Whatever monsters, whatever problems there are in the mountains, they are some of the first people that go down to try and suss shit out. They're like, okay, whatever's going on, we're putting a stop to it right now. This ain't happening. In fact, even the Aarakocra can put up a good fight against the dragon, as it were. As the dragon is their air superiority within the Aarakocra. And they do mainly just ravage the Aarakocra, but the Aarakocra are able to put up a good enough fight against them. To buff them.
Bird versus dragon.
Well, it helps they have pet griffins, too.
Yeah, and also might also help them being able to get on the backs of dragons and really start
hacking away. I'm getting in that scale eventually.
Mm-hmm. Now, any other major players on the surface of Miglia then?
On the surface of the mountains?
Yeah.
There's the giants who mainly live there as a migratory folk. They used to live all over Kesia, but they basically, but thanks to the dragons of both the east and the west, they basically shrunken and retreated towards the center. So basically, you're only ever going to find them in Flokia, Gilgland, or Sicilia. That's where you might find a few outliers and the mountains too, but for the most part, they are very much tied to the mountains, as it were. It's their homeland at this point, since the rest of it are taken from them. There's Goliaths, whose nature is not currently known. People know they can speak giants, but no one really knows if they are giants or if they just have some connection to them. The Fearbolgs are there as well. Again, no one knows if they have a connection to the giants, and we're not expecting them to speak it. The Wolf Neko wander around, and that's about. I think there's a Lupin too who also wander around, as it were, but that's right for the most part.
So really, the surface is kind of home to nomadic tribes in a way.
Yeah, the surface is basically where civilization just lets the tribes take over and lets them deal with their monsters and everything. Deal with them, they do.
All right. That's everything
That's all I've got.
Alright. Again, moving back up north.
What? No, I was just asking if we could scroll that up. I guess I'll do it.
Alright.
Oh, we're going to Sicilia.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. We're going way north.
We both thought Guildland.
Nah, we're going far north. Alright.
All right.
It's such a small border up north, though.
Alright. So, Sicilia, the theocracy of the Church of the Golden Sun, as it were. A pantheon that while started in Guildland, took a heavy prominence in Sicilia. Basically, they give the idea of a lot of the races in Kesia, like the orcs, the goblinoids, the kobolds, and the gnolls. Many people saw them as monsters at first, but then the Church of the Golden Sun came up with the idea that maybe they can be redeemed in a way. And the church kind of spawned like these new gods of these races that would that basically give redemption to them, and they can turn away from their evil nature, as it were. And the Church of the Golden Sun takes prominence. I forgot to mention a major center of the Council of Magi lives in Flokia. His name is Archmax of Jake. He's an old-ass man, no one knows how old he is, don't ask, he always tries to make a game out of it. In the north of Sicilia, we have Aurora, the cleric of the north, a 20th level light cleric, as it were, and one who can cast true resurrection, as it were, making a lot of people want to go to her for help when it comes to dead people.
That's fair.
Yeah, the church in general. Funnily enough, there's one thing that I can say about Sicilia. A lot of Aesir called this place their home.
Well, it being a theocracy and it, having a heavy focus on religion, I would assume that would be the case either way.
Yeah, that's true. It's more like the Aesmer just live there, like, just living their normal lives and everything. But every once in a while, an Aesmer will wake up and will be contacted by the angel that's born. For reference, Aesmer and Kesia, their blood is related to a specific angel or celestial. And at any moment, the angel or celestial that their bloodline comes from can contact them and speak to them and tell them, hey, I'm your guide, we need to go do some stuff. Basically interplaying the section they have in the Lowest Guide to Monsters. And as a result, the Aesmen, when they wake up, they are duty bound to go and spread good to the rest of Kesia. And they will most certainly follow that task as they leave their homeland, basically.
Alright.
Celia, back in 1994, went through a hell of a time with the cult. No one knows the true. Funnily enough, despite it going on, no one knows what really happened. Like the Order of Magi has cut off all information about it, and all I know is that some cult had risen up and caused some issues, but no one really knows what happened. And it resulted in the death of two of the church's leaders, of the Pantheon's leaders. But no one really knows what's going on in the Order of Magi, and they definitely should keep it that way. As anytime someone tries to suss out information about Cecilia, they summon an Aelip.
An Aelip?
That's a monster, by the way. It's a monster that hoards secrets. It's the spirit of a man. It's the spirit of a person who learned a terrible secret and has been cursed to live forever. Cursed to live until they spread that secret, as it were. And it'll kill anyone who tries to go after that secret. And no one knows who spawned it, but many people will kind of look at the Order of Magi and wondering if they had something to do with it.
So basically, the events of '94 are kind of blacklisted, so to speak.
Yeah, as in no one except for key members of the council, mainly the mage of the south and the mage of the north, know what happened. As they live in white people's memories of the event itself.
Turbulent times for Cecilia, then.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned that the Church of the Golden Sun is a pantheon?
Yeah.
Why is that?
To be honest, there's not really that many monotheistic religions in Kesia, as it were, and this one really focuses on the idea that there are multiple gods that offer redemption in their own ways, and they also offer vengeance against those who try to corrupt those people. So this church is very much around, we will offer you a hand, but if you shunt us away, we will destroy you. Basically, we won't let you spread evil to the few who decide to turn good.
Alright. Anything to add, Car?
No,
Alright.
I'm good. I really personally like that Church of the Sun. I already forgot the name.
Golden Sun.
Church of the Golden Sun. Yeah, that one.
What makes you like them?
Oh, well, I kind of do like the idea of protecting those who want to be good. Like, you being bad your whole life, and then all of a sudden, you know what? I want to be good. They're going to offer you some, like, health insurance, some protection for that. That's good on my end. I mean, so long as you're trying to be good.
If anyone tries to turn you back, oh hey, looks like we got some cult slaying to do. Alright, wake up an Aesmer, time to go.
Cult, I would like to call it the country of cult rehabilitation.
They got two programs for you. The nice and cushy method and the iron sword method.
Yeah, the Mage of the North is technically a member of the church, but she's not the Pope herself because she's not allowed to be. None of the members of the Council of Magi are allowed to have none of them are allowed to have a very high political role, as it were. Not bring it into their work anyway, and as it were, Aurora has too much to deal with already to be Pope.
True.
Might be an Aesmer, but hey, she doesn't want to deal with all of that. Gloria has enough to deal with dealing with the Council of Magi and what goes on in Sicilia already. Meanwhile, she's traveling across Kesia doing good work here and there.
Any opportunities for future campaigns?
I'm thinking of a return to Sicilia campaign at some point, maybe bringing back Aurora and doing more with her.
I'm currently rolling around an idea for a potential Sicilia game.
Set 200 years before Jennifer, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
like 1 to 200 years before. the whole stick with that one is basically the idea being that Sicilia at one point was more like the Holy Roman Empire, where it was a collection of theocracies and of smaller countries, and they just simply had a confederacy for external defense. And well, some people.
That being said, actually, Sicilia would be a younger country than Torzoki as well. It's 200, yeah?
That's when the campaign takes place. It was around before him, though. It's just it's shifted between religions too many times, though. But for the most part, it has still been Sicilia in a way.
Huh.
The new religion will always try to pop off the old one and try to upset itself. But for the most part, So
it's just basically a whole bunch of land, and it's like we'll shift our religions every couple of years.
Yeah, the Golden Sun took over, and it has been a staunch defender of Sicilia. It has made sure that.
I mean, honestly, I'd rather have that one than some other chunky religion.
It mainly goes off the idea: we will accept all of religions, but if you try to take us out, we will burn you. We will burn your church to the ground and salt the land that it was on.
Which really.
Okay, so don't do violence against us. We won't do violence against you.
That's fair. Yeah, the campaign I'm kind of rolling around right now is basically a 30 years war scenario, and it, basically an internal conflict within the Golden Sun kind of got way too out of control, got way out of hand.
Where it caused a little bit of an issue.
And maybe even a slightly defining moment for an Order of Magi member, if we play it right.
Aurora, I want to say she's close in age to the Mage of the South.
Okay.
Maybe 20 years older than her.
Alright.
She would have been born around the time that Miglia came to be.
True.
Or a little bit beforehand, as it were. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe one of her ancestors, but not her specifically.
I just remember there being a little discussion that we had of
how old she was. Yeah. Anything else to say about Sicilia for the most part?
Nope.
It's cold, but the people there are warm, and the sun and the golden sun is always shining on it.
So long as you're not a cult.
Yeah, but if you are, no one likes you anyway.
Huh. Not even your god.
He didn't save you from me, so.
Well, when you start seeing the priest speaking celestial and reaching for a sword, well.
That's when you run.
And his eyes are starting to glow.
When you think you see a human, but then they suddenly start having glowing eyes.
An anime hair.
All right. And with that, we're done with Sicilia, and we move on to one of the more, I want to say, controversial countries that we've had so far in Kesia.
Which one? Oh, is it Guild Land?
It's big old blue boy Guild Land.
It's Guild Land.
Oh, this is where
I would
we
like
get
to say that its name. I would like to say that the random name that the map generator came up with that name itself, and I kept the name because it was fucking hilarious. And everything I do related to that country is related to that name. So guess what's in control here, folks? Guilds!
Wowee.
Funnily enough, though, it's one of the most economically stable areas out of all of Kesia. Because as it were, well, it is an oligarchy, but the guilds are the ones in control, as it were. It is the center of all money flowing out throughout Kesia, as the Kesian International Bank is there. And as a result, all gold, silver, and copper coins come from that area. Electrum, unfortunately, is taken over by the Order of Magi, who refuses to let anyone get their hands on it, even going so far as to cast spells so that way anyone can to make their own. But bit of unfortunate happen to them. But yeah, Guildland has guilds take over most of its prominent parts of the government. Most of the prominent parts of the government. Funnily enough, most people actually, to be quite honest, despite some of the stuff that people later said about Guildland, it's actually one of the most enjoyable places to live, because because there's always a bare minimum for when you join the industry there, and it's not like you're ever going to lose money in a way. Like the guild will always back you as long as you pay your membership and as long as you follow their rules. For the most part, you're always going to be fine.
All right. So in a way, it's kind of a free trading sector.
Yeah, it's like the guilds are they decide the prices. They usually have a range that way you can modify it here and there. And they have the idea we support our own. So they will always be willing to bail out their members, as it were, and they are very much staunch believers in helping out their lower members because that will help their clientele and help them get new members as a result. And they always fund trade and projects outside of Gilman so that they can reap the benefits of it if they think they're going to be able to make money off of it, as it were. So it's always a fun prospect for them, and basically they have their hands in so many pockets that no matter where Guildland is, it will make money. As a saying has said, the Kessian bank always gets its due. No matter what, Guildland will get its money back because it has its fingers in every single pocket.
Quite literally, if they mint every coin.
Yep.
Just to speak a little bit so you can get a little bit of a break. I understand in a sort of conversation in the World Builders of Kesia chat room we have on Discord, because of the rise of the Miglian Philocian relations and their trading partners, we kicked around the idea of Guildland possibly jumping in on that whole prospect, forming a trade triangle.
Yeah, because Guildland as it was, Guildland, basically any goods that flow through Flokia will get to Guildland at some point, and Guildland basically funds the ability for it to spread across the rest of Kessia for the most part. So Guildland seeing Miglia and seeing how there's goods there that no one else has access to, sees it as a chance for them to earn a lot of money, and Flokia as well.
And these goods being
anything they can find one. Sometimes draconic based, sometimes maybe metals that aren't found in Miglia but aren't found elsewhere. Maybe specific draconic forged weapons that are of distinct design other than Lawless, things like that. And basically anything they can get their hand on.
I do know, right popular among the Philocians is the draconic whiskey and draconic wine that comes out of Miglia.
Oh yeah. And it actually, funnily enough, outside of Shino lands, the Miglian whiskey probably has a bit of a strong stay there. Mm-hmm. As the dwarves might have had a conflict with the dragons, they still admit that they know how to brew good drinks.
And those who are cheese connoisseurs will find something find some of that present over there that they love to pay for.
Yeah. Moving on from I mentioned that Guildland, despite what we later said about it, is one of actually the best places to live, and for the most part, people are happy there.
I'd imagine that. Yeah.
But unhappy there are ones that are unfortunate enough to be slaves. And that's where Guildland's dark history comes in, as they enslave anyone they can get their hands on.
Look at the bright side, they're better than Capra.
True. And for the most they all sacrifice their slaves. Anyway, well, actually no. Capra sacrificed themselves more than their slaves, because their lives are worth more than slaves' lives. Anyway.
I still say the slaves are given the shorter end of the stick somewhere in Capra.
I mean, the abuse, definitely, but the abuse is Guildland too. But anyway, Guildland's thing is that the one race that has probably got hit the most of the slavery stick has been the Lupin, as it were. The Lupin very much were not happy about it. So unhappy about it that they decided they were going to kick off a little slave rebellion of their own that spawned into a complete and utter slave revolt that devastated the slave economy in Guildland. In fact, it was called the Dread Wolf Revolt, as it were, and no one knows how the hell this thing started. No one knows who started it. No one knows who leads it. All they know is that no matter that wherever the Dread Wolves are, no slave owner is safe, and no one is safe. Because the Dread Wolves make a habit of killing everyone who has a connection to slavery at all, whether they are man, woman, or child. If your family has connections to it, you are just as liable to be killed as your family is. And that's caused some people to be afraid of them, but at the same time, the issue is too hot topic for them to really side against the Red Wolves. They don't like slavery, so for the most part, they turn a blind eye. Most people will usually attribute the beginning of the Red Wolf Rebellion to late 983 when a slave auction had appeared in a local town in Guildland, and they started snatching Lutherans off the street. It became so bad that a local Lutheran with a sniper rifle took it to the markets and decided to lay waste to everyone in it, and later blew up a slave camp outside of the capital, Vacaville. Yeah, as it were, the Dread Wolves are a common threat to anyone who dares try to support the local slave system in Guildland, as it were.
I got a lot more things to talk about. You'll notice this as we go further east. I'll probably start talking a little bit more. With Guildland, what was I about to say with it? Ooh, hold on. I got it. My brain's here.
It was related to the Lupin at all.
Blue boy. Yes. With Guildland, as of 996, it was starting to finally start turning away from slavery, simply because of the economic deficit it started to bring. It had a huge shift in its mercantilism, and honestly, to just make more money, it would just be better to just educate the people. They'd work harder and faster than if they were uneducated slaves. Just make them educated slaves. Wage slaves. There we go.
Yeah.
It's just, and with that kind of new mindset, they're starting to turn away as of like late age from slavery.
And as a result, the Dread Wolves are starting to die down, as it were, as many have started to put away their masks, as they like to say. As a result, the Dread Wolves are starting to become more of a. It's more of a. The Dread Wolves are becoming more of a footnote where it's like, yeah, this happened. Let's make sure that we put this in the history books so that we don't do this again.
All right.
Basically, any slavery-based economy in the East, other than Florkill, which is still going strong with IDS, has basically fallen apart. Every single slave economy that's tried to rise has been thoroughly smashed down by the Dread Wolves, as it were. Crushed without hope, without mercy, and without any chance for any children to be born of it.
As a fair and noble cause.
Very noble cause, but it comes with a consequence as well. Unfortunately, there are children that they do miss and forget, and those grow up in very, very rude situations. As such, there actually was a group that was formed in 986 called the Daughters of Unity, that their sole purpose is to actively hunt the Dread Wolves.
After a while, the Dread Wolves were mainly based out of Guildland for the majority of it. But then, when they heard the rumors that slavery would be coming to Lallis in 987, I want to say, their core leadership had left Guildland, as it were, and left mainly splinter cells to deal with anything left over. No one really knows who the main leadership are. They only know of four of them: the Black Swordsman, the Black Sniper, the Black Mage, and the Black Mystic. The Black Mage was supposedly killed in Lallis in 988.
And that just simply due to plain luck or a mission going down?
A mission going down, and as a result, the Black Swordsman from the event that they know of, there was a local Dread Wolf cell that was doing an operation there. They had drawn them in. Most of the members managed to escape. The Black Mage was killed, but his body was taken away before they could get their hands on it. And the Black Swordsman had single-handedly killed about 30 of Lallis' best Dragon Knights before he escaped as well, mortally wounded, as it were. So most assume that he died.
Likely died on a roadway somewhere to be found later.
He died. Most people like to. As it were, later on, they decided to track down his blood trail, and they found a burned body, as it were. So most people assumed that he died to a dragon. but no one knows for sure. And most people like to assume that he's probably dead.
Gives people to sleep better at night, I assume.
Yeah, but the Dreadwolves didn't stop. So for all I know, the Black Mystic and the Black Sniper are still heavily leading and they're causing even more. And revenge, they decided to very much kick up their efforts, making sure that any slaves were definitely free. As it were, less killings happened as a result, for some reason, despite losing 2 of their own. It seemed like once the Black Swordsman and Black Wizard were killed, the Dreadwolves became more forgiving, as it were.
Sort of lost their hardline edge, so to speak.
Some people like to think so. Other people like to think that the death of the 2 made the other 2 leaders more forgiving, as they had lost some of their own. They realized what they were doing, but no one knows for sure because no one knows who they are.
All right.
But yeah, for the most part, that's everything that goes on with Guildland. Guildland is quite a short history. It's the center of money. No one's ever going to change that. No one's ever going to fix that. The Kessian International Bank will forever be a staple in Kessia. Because if it goes down, the money goes down. And if the money goes down, everything goes down. But at the end of the day, Guildman is the spine of Kessia. And it's shaping that one too.
I find it absolutely funny that despite being a landlocked country, it is one of the richest ones.
Well, when you're one of the few guys who knows how to get to the mountains that split East and West Kessia, people happen to come to you more. I mean, it's faster to go across land when it takes about 89 days to get from the capital of Terzokia and Hawk to get to the capital of Hangzan and New Fault.
Ah, yes, the Kessian Long Road. We'll talk about that later.
Yep.
It also kind of helps that their Guildland sits at a nexus of different highways that sprawl out into the eastern and northern part, straddling that east-west divide and connecting the north.
Ooh, yeah.
Its capital looks like honestly, Chicago, in terms of geography.
Probably, yeah. It's in a valley too, so we know that its wind patterns are very different.
Windy City.
Oh man, let's hope they don't have a Chicago accent and carry around Tommy guns and shoot up.
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me.
Flokia and Guildland.
What is the name of its capital?
Ractal.
Ractal.
Yep.
The Chicago of Kessia.
Now we
just
just
let you in offer you can't refuse.
Oh my god!
Okay, that's a bit 30 years later than that, but whatever. I'm doing the mafia, not mobsters.
yeah. Well, that would be interesting to do is do a mobster campaign set in Ractal.
Yeah.
As currently sits on just a nexus of trade and money. There'd probably be a few criminals in there wishing to tap into that.
A few? Dude, everyone would be on that. Like butter on bread.
Oh yeah.
Alright, but with that, I suppose we have to move on now. So, where we headed next, crew? We got the entire east opened up to us.
The whole east? What about that little country in the center?
What country in the center?
Yeah, the one all the way at the bottom.
Alright. Oh, you mean in the south? I gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh, hey.
the little thing that apparently
Little
has
green
been the
shit.
linchpin for this whole damn setting for a little bit.
Ah, Shinavar.
Look at you.
Homeland of the elves, the humans, and the half-elves. And when I say the elves, I do mean every goddamn elf seems to live here.
And fuck. And buy their goods.
Yep. As it were, this is where the Mage of the South comes from, the leader of the Council of Magi,
And resident, oh yeah, I'm gonna blow myself sky high and then come back from the ashes if I'm a fucking phoenix.
And also home to a couple, one other crankcase artificer.
Oh, no, to a mass murderer who used to work under the Lich King. Shinabar has some weird people in it.
Oh yeah.
Shinabar is the kingdom of the elves. It is ruled by King William X and Queen Pavina I. They have many children, in their firstborn Liliana Espod, and their following children of Xerxes Espod, Siri Espod, Hippon Espod, Arian Espod, and one more Espod whose name always eludes me, as it were. Yeah. It is home to the Shinto culture, Greek culture, and here the Sildren, the Elven pantheon, reigns supreme, along with a little bit of Greek here and there for the humans. And I guess you can say that if you want a place that's sapped in magical nature, it is Shinovar. In fact, I think Shinovar basically is seen as the sigil of the Order of Magi in a way, because if there's one place that you could probably find a record of lots of magical knowledge, it would be Shinovar. What was I going to say about it? I would say that one key thing about Shinovar is that they have something that nothing else in the world has.
And what is that?
They have what is called a mythal, a sphere of reality warping that is known primarily to the elves and warps reality inside it. Shinovar's mythal has one goal and one goal only: to protect the homeland of the elves no matter what. And time again, it has done exactly that. In fact, many legends speak of a figure who basically is the mythal, who comes to people that they see as the one to help defend Shinovar. In fact, supposedly the Mage of the South was the one most recently visited by him, but no one knows for sure because he refuses to speak of it.
Oh, when you have practically a cultural deity come to you and say, "Oh, you're going to be the defender of our people."
You don't talk about it.
Yeah, you don't divulge details.
Funnily enough, Shinovar is the homeland of the elves because some time ago, before the Age of Strife began, every single elf across the continent had received one message, and one message only: come home. And they were given the image of a star rising on the southern shores, and that was where Shinovar was founded as it were. And that was where Shinovar was. At first, it was only a homeland of humans, but then all these elves had come to roost in the land, as it were, and eventually became part of its society. And the mythal is what helped protect them from the volcano that would have erupted and caused a famine across all of Kesia except for Shinovar. Shinovar was the only man standing, basically, once that famine hit, and they were the only ones who were able to live comfortably with every single country bearing down on it trying to steal what it had. And the mythal, time and time again, destroyed everything that tried to hurt Shinovar. So Shinovar is kind of like, Shinovar stands as the sole defender of the South, as it were. And it used to be two countries, one being Ulster, but the two of them would reunify as of 984. 984 plus 985.
Which I imagine that changed a lot of the politics in the South, or the geopolitical situation in the South because of that.
Well, the only thing that changed is that the two sides of the same coin were no longer divided. Ulster, being on its own, had frustrated Shinovar for some time because it always had to deal with its politics, but just subsuming it into itself had helped free a lot of issues. And also, they had swallowed a sizable amount of cities in the east, once again raising their population and making them quite a mainstay against powers like Flokia and Atia, as it were.
That's fair.
Yep. So Shinovar was, funnily enough, the fact that all these elves are here is what many people look at strangely, because you have dark elves, high elves, wood elves, fey elves, sea elves, winged elves, wild elves.
Not dark elves, though.
Yep, nope, there's dark elves there.
Oh shit, dark elves.
Some dark elves have even received the call and came home.
Really? I find that a little hard to believe, considering Lolth has such a death grip on him.
Many people attribute that to Elistray Moonbow, who was somehow able to break through Loft's hold on them and was able to relay the same message to them. And in fact, Capra does talk about this as a large exodus of Drow had just left and went straight towards Shinovar. And they were barely able to reach it by the time the volcano hit, but they were able to make it, and they lived comfortably as a result. And many people attribute this to why there doesn't seem to be any elven kingdoms outside of Shinovar, as it were. There's no fault. there's really any ruins, but the elves are the least common of all because their kingdom has always been Shinovar. It has never changed and it never will change.
Just to double check, bro. Just to double check my memory here. The volcano eruption that kind of made Shinovar the king of the hill in the south.
Mm-hmm.
When about did that occur again?
Year 0 at the Age of Strife.
Okay.
Is when what started it, kick-started it, as its eruption had devastated had shifted the climate of the entire continent, as it were.
Yeah, I imagine this made it substantially colder everywhere.
Oh yeah, Sicilia, Zanglia, and Visokia were frigid when this time came around. But Shinovar stayed its Mediterranean self. You got any comments, Car?
Nope. Shinovar is a little bit of a tougher country to kind of understand, but I like to think of it as a mystical kingdom of elves.
Oh, it is.
Good thing to note about Shinovar is it's starkingly dense of a country compared to everyone else.
It's the second smallest country, actually, I believe.
Mm-hmm. It's a bit small, but its cities are nice and dense, and on top of that, they've got probably the most structured road network, it seems.
Mm-hmm. They make sure their roads are efficient as possible. Actually, funnily enough, their roads are kept well, but they don't really use them because Shinovar has a string of teleportation circles across the entire country. They're one of the 2 countries that actually achieved that. The other one being Tozokia, as it were.
Magic, folks.
Ha! Magic.
Yep, they took magic and they made it king. In fact, they're one of the few countries that actually have medieval skyscrapers, as it were.
Oh my goodness.
And what else is there to add about? They're on the forefront of magical knowledge.
I'd imagine a kingdom like Shinovar would be pretty interesting to see as its density, because they've had this land for how long?
Thousands of years. I think the elves have always been.
And they never bothered to expand, right?
Shinovar thought about expanding to maybe the lands of Flokia, because they were Shino lands, but Shinovar has one goal in war: to the border and nothing more. We keep what's ours. We don't take what's theirs, because as long as they defend their land, they don't have to deal with the full might of their enemies. As long as they don't defend the enemy citizens, they don't have to deal with them bearing down on them. So all they have to do is win at the border, and they win their war. So no matter what, even a draw is a win in their book.
But I imagine this came into some serious conflict with certain popular individuals within the Shinovar military.
Yep, the commander of the cavalry cannons butted heads with the previous general over the idea of only going to the border and letting missions outside the border. Unfortunately, he was thoroughly thrashed and would have had a complete rout if not for the fact that that a former student of his had taken control of the army and personally led a mission to come and support his retreat out of enemy lands. As a result, after that point, they had just started warring within their own lands and taking back what was theirs. The Fifth Southern War was probably the most devastating war for Shinovar, as it was the deepest Flokia had ever gone into its land, getting all the way up to the river of Magida, as it were, which is the first deep river leading into Shinovar. If they had captured that entire area, they would have had a road that would have given them a straight shot towards the capital. But Shinovar prevailed, and Shinovar pushed back, taking the city of Margita under a hurricane, as it were. And from what the story seemed to tell, a meteor had smashed the city's walls, basically opening the defenses and allowing the Shinovar to take the city back for themselves. No one knows no one knows how that meteor came. Only a few have ideas of what happened because meteors just come out of nowhere.
Sometimes it could just be plain luck.
Sometimes you may get local rage like, there's a little spell here. Why not use it?
True. But since Shinovar is such a linchpin it seems to be in the Kessian setting, what are some of the major movers and shakers that come out of this country?
Darius Ildrassi is one of them. Court wizard of the Prison. He is the leader of the Council of Magi. He's the primary. He's the. I guess you could call him the killer of the Lich King, but he never takes that title. And he's also. People also call him people also title him behind his back, mind you, the Return of the Lich King as well, because Darius technically is two people. There's Darius, and then there's this old body that returned that houses Cyrus in, as it were. So now anytime Darius shows up, no one ever knows if it's him or the Lich King. The only time you really know is if you can tell by his eyes. You're either going to see the warm brown that's trying to help people, or you see the cold gold that wants to lay waste to everything. You never know until it's too late.
Of course.
Yeah. Other players, there's Perry Savage, local artificer who created the cavalry cannons. He's also the designer of quite a few experimental guns, as it were, that are coming out of Shinovar. People attribute him to the rise of what people like to call the gunsmith, as it were, as a lot of custom-based firearms. He was able to grab designs from traders in Tozopia and was able to custom make new firearms, as it were, one of which being a weapon called the revolver, actually. A 6-shot weapon based off the palm pistol, but with much more firepower.
Of course. Now, since we mentioned that there was the leader of the Thunder, the Thunder Cavalry.
Oh, and there's also a local monster hunting group that also plays prominence called the Friends, the Fiends, and they're called the Triple Fs for short. I forgot what their name is called.
The Triple Fs.
Yep.
Fellowship of Friends and Fiends.
Thank you. Forgot their name. Yeah, they're a local monster. They're actually the most prominent monster hunting group within Shinovar, even more than the Bloodhunters and the like. Even the as it were, the government has actually made it to where has actually made them deputized in a way for Shinovar. Anytime there's a monster problem, they usually call on them for help. One of their own even works for the court wizard of Shinovar.
Pretty good situation to be in.
Mm-hmm. You had a question before. You were saying it beforehand.
That's all right. Now this savage fella, since he's an artificer and does he have any sort of relationship to the events that occurred in the Fifth Southern War with the driving into enemy lands and ultimately getting?
He was the commander of that force. He had butted heads with the previous general, who was a complete and ineffectual leader, who had led many mages to die, and Savage decided he wasn't going to die to some man's stupid plan. He was going to die on his own terms. And he led his men, who were completely loyal to him, into enemy lines, and it caused quite a bit of damage, but then they were surrounded until they were under siege at a location when they had heard that their general had been killed, and many of the men started to wonder if they should surrender, as it were, until a teleportation circle had opened up behind the Flokian lines, and a slew of mages had come out and just laid waste to the entire army. And Perry was met by the new commander of the Shinovar army, his former student Darius Eldrazi. The two meeting not as master and student, but as peers in a war for their homeland in a way.
All right.
And in fact, there were several key figures in that war, as it were. There was Darius, there was Perry, there was a local paladin known simply as Mizuno, who served Darius faithfully. There was a blood hunter known as Rio, who played a sea elf named Rio, who had played a factor as kind of serving under Darius as well. And there was a cleric of war. Who, traumatized by the war, had turned from their life domain into the war domain, and by God, did she know how to wage war? Mm-hmm. There was them, and there was a mysterious six-figure as well that no one really knows of. There was this six-figure in the war effort, but no one really knows who it is. Many only know of him because Darius would be heard speaking in his camp to someone, but no one ever knew who. And so would his fellow council members as well. No one ever knew who the man was, and no one has ever found out.
Okay.
What's with the faces over there, Carr?
Nothing.
Well, what you gotta say?
Nothing.
Uh-huh.
Got no faces.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
You got nothing to comment about for Shinovar.
I commented my comments about Shinovar. Wait, I got one more.
What?
What's the capital of Shinovar?
Patros.
Ah, it used to be called Sinester.
No, never in lore has it been called
It
Sinester.
used to be. Just like Capri used to be called Capriturania, but now it's the capital.
Jesus fucking Christ, that name was too long.
Yes,
for a
that is
country.
a big name.
Oh yeah. I
But I
will
like
say.
Patros.
I will say though, if discussing about Savage, you got most of you probably saw through the thinly veiled joke there. Yes, as a partial self-insert to me. Yes, he is basically the personification of my crazy half.
Yeah, at 6 figures, unknown currently. Currently, Shinovar stands at the, but to end it all off, Shinovar stands at the forefront of magic, it stands at the forefront of basically a new Kesia, and it stands at the forefront of the war against the followers of the organization Free Mages, as it were. Because their efforts have been made to bring down Shinovar and supposedly to bring Darius to their side. As from what people have heard, there have been many attempts on his life, Aurora's life, and even the lives of the people of the four of a bard, a warlock, a paladin, and a fighter who follow him.
Alright.
But with that, I'm gonna move on to another country. So, folks, what's up next?
Ugh.
We can lump two of them into one. I know.
Yeah, I was about to say we.
You want to do
At this point,
Zhang Li, then the two boys, and then the other one?
Yep. All right.
Okay.
So Zhang Li.
Oh boy, is this my time?
Yes, it's your time.
Oh man. Zhang Li is probably one of the oldest countries. And it was formed around the same. Well, it's existed a while since this thing called the Kesian Empire. If you don't mind explaining that for a little bit.
The Kesian Empire was formed during the last days of the Age of Binding, the first era, technically speaking, and it's what gave Kesia its name. It conquered the entire continent and formed it. Well, conquered most of it and treated out Kappa, putting all of it under one banner, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And it fell apart in year zero of the Age of Conquest, leading to the many alterations of countries we've seen since. And Lallis, as it were, claims that it is the successor to the Kessian Empire.
And during this time, the Age of Conquest, so to speak, there was a bunch of dynasties up in the north that constantly warred amongst each other, and they shifted and such and the like. One of these dynasties, I think it was the Stu dynasty, right?
Yeah.
They conquered most of the swath of these dynasties up in the north. This would be, by the way, modern-day northern Laos.
Yep.
And eventually formed this empire, so to speak. And then they got overran by the Zhang dynasty, which would be the new Zhang dynasty, Zhang Empire, which would eventually form into Zhang Li much later.
Which I assume probably means Land of the Zan.
Mm-hmm. Land of the Zhang dynasty.
Yep.
And this dynasty, whoo, boy, did it last a while. It lasted from around the middle, around 550 of the Age of Conquest, all the way until today. Still acting chill as ever.
Yep. Funnily enough, it's one of the few empires that Lallis really regards as okay. Lallis has few people that it will actually see as a big enough threat. There's only three, as it were. Zhang Li's one of them, Zhan is the other, and then Shinovar is the last one. It views everyone else as either a nuisance or just there.
And with Zhang Li, it fractured its dynasties over time, and the names changed. But eventually, it just came to be that the Zhang Empire would be the one to become Zhang Li. Eventually, after the age before the Age of Strife,
Age of Conquest was before the Age of Strife.
The volcano.
The Age of Strife was at year zero of the Age of Strife.
All right. So when the volcano came and caused that climate change, it allowed for the Zhang Empire to expand up north. For the most part, they were trying to expand west and north, while still maintaining in close ties with Lawless. They were kind of on a race to conquer, so to speak. And while neither could really just battle each other and conquer each other, they decided to go out west. And then the volcano happened, and then they went back east to see, oh, look, there's some more land we can conquer. So they went up east and north, and I think it was around that time Lawless was like, you know what, Zhang I've had enough of you trying to take my land. I'm going to go to war with you. And so they did. They did go to war, and Lawless did get a huge, a nice big chunk of land, which is now Northern Lawless, and Zhang Li is a little bit bitter of it ever since.
Well, Lawless would eventually get its comeuppance as its southern half would split away from it, and its eastern section of it would split away to become Drozokia.
Yes.
People love splitting away from Lawless. I don't know. Maybe it's a really bad boyfriend. We don't know.
The northern country of Zhang Li still kept a huge chunk of its northern half that it's pretty chill with, both literally and figuratively, considering how cold the country is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's followed that way ever since today. Now its government has kind of switched away. It went from just a basic dynastical empire into more of what's a good way to say it? Corporate empire.
Sounds about right.
It focuses a lot more on the companies that has made from its huge amounts of artificers. They've made a couple of corporations that kind of specialize in certain technologies and have since just decided to remain chill and trade with these other countries while remaining a very intimidating force to everyone nearby.
Ooh, yeah. There's a reason. Lawless won't pick a fight with it unless it has to. And Gilliland just sees it as, hey, cool, another trade partner.
Mm-hmm.
More money!
Money!
A sleeping sentinel, as it was.
Luckily enough, some of the land that Zhang Li would have grabbed. Actually, looking at this map, quite a bit of northern Gilliland's culture is actually Hanzu, which is the majority of Zhang Li's culture, so Zhang Li probably could have owned parts of Gilliland.
Yeah. It owned a pretty good swath of Kesia. I'd say at the height of its empire, it owned 1/5 of Kesia.
Yep.
And now it's just kind of just chilling, basking in the riches of its glories. Its capital is Huajiang, and nothing really much to say about that city other than it's a very rare sight when you see it. Pretty unique thing about Huajiang or Hojiang is it's lit up. It's very lit up. They work a lot with electricity there, so you'll see things like modern day Tesla coils. I would imagine there would be a lot of that there. A lot of playing with lightning. If you're a mage and you really like your lightning spells, that's probably a good place to go.
Yeah, you'll be able to rent out your services pretty easily.
And and of course, most of the major corporations' headquarters would be there. If not, they're kind of stationed in other cities as well.
I imagine it'll be the best place to set up your headquarters is in the capital. And if you can't do the capital's real estate rates, I imagine one of the smaller cities somewhere else might be best.
As for the geography of Zhang Li, most of it's actually rather boring. It is either a boreal forest or a tundra for most of the time. And as you go further east, it starts to become greener as you enter the Luwari province. For those of you who don't know, the Luwari province is an area in the northeastern part of Kesia that is known for very fertile land despite it being such an unfertile place.
I'm pretty sure it was one of the few places that didn't get hit by the
volcano.
Yeah, climate change as well. Halflings know how to work with volcanic soil.
Mm-hmm. And they apparently know how to do good wine too. Some of the best wine comes from the Luwari province.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Might wanna go over there sometime. That's about it I want to say about Zhang Li as a whole. Does anyone have any questions or inquiries they would wish to talk about?
As it were, I would say that Do you think there's any ruins of what's left of the Zangli Empire, or do you think it's more of that situation now? There's not really that many ruins for empires in general, that includes them.
Well, the ruins of the Zangli Empire would probably be very few. I think they would just shifted hands, so to speak.
So anything lost is still being built upon by the people who took it from them.
Yeah, they built pretty functional cities. I wouldn't say their architectural style is really outstanding or anything, but it was very functional for its purpose.
I noticed that one of the few roads that leads into Sicilia is through Zangli, as it were. Anything to say about that?
So, as you can see as well, Zangli has probably conquered those lands before, and probably just, honestly, I would say those lands were purchased from Sicilia. Because honestly, Zangli is a type of country like Guildland that kind of just favors money over the land it has. And it'd rather, instead of spending money to develop that land over there, which is kind of full of monsters and very sparse, not very resource gathering, they instead decided, hey, let's just have them purchase it. If they want it, sure, give us some money.
Any major companies really that are based out of Zangli?
There are two main ones that I have like I would say 3 to 4 actually. In the west, there's the Western. The companies' names are not really creatively named. There's the Western Zangli monopoly and the Eastern Zangli monopoly, both on the west and east sides of the capital river, the one that goes through the middle.
Yep, I see.
The Western one kind of specializes in artificer goods and services, basic artificer things. They also specialize in training artificers. Your character, Perry Savage, would probably get a lot of ideas from that group.
Oh, yeah. Well, generally, in our own world, engineering types, which would be pretty similar to artificers, they always love to talk to each other about projects and the like, and have sort of a level of respect of not stealing ideas, but at the same time, if you're opportunistic, if you don't have a patent, guess what?
I would think that he could credit the artificers in Zangli for coming up with the idea for a gunsmith, because I have a feeling, because the way I look at it is, the gunsmith comes from the fusion of the artificer of the... What was the version of the artificer? That had the gun?
It was like the first version.
I forgot what the name
The
was.
Thunder Cannon?
Yeah, do you remember what the subclass was called?
Just the gunsmith, I think.
Yeah, it was just called Gunsmith.
I would think the gunsmith, I feel like the gunsmith artificer that lived in Zangli would have played a heavy factor into the new version of the gunsmith that takes from both it and the gunslinger, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of it would come from inspiration from Zangli's technology, because I think they would have probably gotten a lot into lever-based rifles and guns.
And a funny thing about the monopolies in Zangli, you'd think they just sell like, basic technology advancements and stuff. No, these are mainly weapon-based companies. The heavy weapons would be in the Western company, the Western Zangli monopoly, and then the Eastern Zangli monopoly had more of rifles, pistols, lighter weapons for individuals.
All right.
Are there any PMCs in Zangli?
PMCs?
Private military companies.
Of course. Zangli actually actually gets a lot of PMCs, and they hire them mainly for the Luari province. The Luari province goes through its own little private war among the owners of the wine farms there, the wine wars, so to speak.
Oh my god. Do they really like their wine that much?
Oh, those things sell for lots of gold. So you would bet everyone would be hiring people to go. This is a merc war going on here in the Luari province.
So this is the first example of a mercenary war, as it were. This is a proxy. This reminds me of the of Metal Gear Solid 4, as it were, where you just have private military corporations doing battle against each other in the Middle East in Metal Gear Solid 4. This seems like the Luari province is technically that situation, but it's not a barren wasteland, because their main goal is to take the wine farms, not destroy them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this just might be me really wanting to do a Cyberpunk campaign, like Cyberpunk 2020 or Cyberpunk Red. I don't bloody care. I just want to play. I want to run that. I'm almost hearing this land. Pronunciation is I'm bad with pronunciation.
Zhangli? Or the Luari?
Luari, Zhangli, they both. I kind of feel like this might be the first example of cyberpunk megacorp style wars could be starting to play out within
Oh
Kesia.
yeah, if anyone was to start a cyberpunk campaign, it would probably be Zhangli.
Oh god.
But yes, usually the Luari hire either people from Torzokia, Lawless, or Zhangli, and kind of put these mercs in a war with other mercs in order to have more control of the wine farms. And of course, these mercs would be given the appropriate term, the winers.
I get the idea that if those PMCs ever moved out of Zangli or Tozokia, that would not end well for the rest of Kesia.
If their services opened up to the rest of the world.
Ah, yes. And Zhangli, while they do kind of offer these services to the other nations kind of have their own form of dealing with basic PMC things.
Now, technically speaking, the artificers are there. What is their relationship with the Order of Magi?
Zhangli's relationship is rather neutral with the Order of Magi. It handles itself fine. They don't think they really need any help from the magical services. They think if they need any knowledge from them, sure, they will be willing to trade it. But they feel like that having the Order of Magi there is an unnecessary cost that they can just cover with other services.
And I don't think they need oversight or the like. You don't think they need oversight or the like?
I think they need advisement, not oversight.
Also, in some circles, oversight is a pretty strong word.
Yeah. They like minimizing costs.
We like minimizing bodies.
Yeah.
Exactly. We don't make bodies. We just show people how to make it themselves.
Yes.
Anyway, what's stopping Zhangli from trying to tussle with Lallis again?
Well, once again, they are a nation of minimizing costs. So if they were to go to war with Lallis, that would be super costly. And even if they were supposed to, per se, win against Lallis, this would provoke other countries like Atia, Guildland, and probably Flokia as well, to just go after the already weakened Zhangli.
Not after Lallis.
No, let's say it did win the war against Lallis. It would have probably been a Pyrrhic victory.
You don't... I almost expect you for a second there to mention Torzokia or the like, as if Torzokia might turn against it and try to grab land for it. Like, try to grab the entire Leroy province in its entirety.
Wait, what were you trying to say? I'm sorry.
No, the way I almost expected Torzokia, because the way I see it is, when I look at Leroy culture, it extends into Zhangli. So I would have expected Torzokia if Zhangli was weakened by war with Lallis, to take the initiative and take the rest of the Leroy.
The Leroy, fun fact, it actually used to be its own country. And then Torzokia, the problem with Luari is it didn't have its own very fluid form of protection.
Mm-hmm.
And Torzokia was, of course, the first one to offer said protection. Zhangli didn't really offer its protection. It offered PMCs that they could buy, but Torzokia offered its own, hey, if you join us as a nation, we can give you national protection. And it ultimately made, well, at least 2/3 of the province to say yes.
And Torzokia doesn't want the rest?
The other third preferred the PMCs from Zhangli.
So too well protected to try and take it.
Yeah. They're like, well, they're cheaper at this point. Like, it's mainly, they probably have a less of a transportation fee because they're closer. So they decided, we might as well be a part of this nation, probably get some national discounts on them.
Makes some sense. Makes sense. Is there any one country that Zhangli would have heavy... What's Zhangli's... Is there any country that Zhangli would really have a high opinion of?
It has a high opinion of itself.
Besides itself. I bet it
Look at us. We were the swole dynasty that conquered 1/5 of Kesia, and we're the oldest country. Fuck you.
Should have written ourselves. And yet you lost it all.
Sold most of it.
Still lost it.
Lawless doesn't exist when you delete its emails.
Lawless, don't let me come up there and smack the shit out of you.
In terms of opinions, it holds, despite the fact that it did take this major loss from Lawless, Lawless did a nice reparation effort, and it actually caused a pretty good relationship between the two nations, even opening up trades as far as, I think it was 300 to 400 years ago.
Got it.
They had a really nice reparation on it. Like, we're sorry we took your lands. These Chinese, what is their culture name? These Hansu people are beautiful. Let us repay you back. And you know what? I'm chill with that.
Wait, they did reparations 400 to 500 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So 100 years before Tozokia split off.
Yup.
When Zingli came back to kick them in the teeth when Tozokia rebelled. That's a dick move. Zingli, oh yeah, thanks for the money. Now let us just kick you in the head with this.
Well, it probably wasn't that because there was no. It was a big, like, kind of concern. Zhang actually had no relationships with the Rusonic Rebellion, and it was mainly just the way that Lawless treated the Rusonics. Zhang Li did offer, of course, aid to Lawless in terms of this Rusonic Rebellion in return, and the two have remained pretty nice relationships. However, of course, Zhang Li, noticing that Torzokia has somewhat better technology, was like, "Ooh, that's some pretty good stuff you got there," and decided to strike up easy social relationships with Torzokia. Of course, this also means that they were allied with each other should Lawless ever attack either of the countries.
Alright.
And this has probably ultimately staled the relationship over time.
Any comments?
You got any questions or comments? I've been dominating it here.
Yeah, I know. Outside of bloody fucking backdoor cyberpunk games over here.
Please, no.
Oh, come on.
No.
Oh, come on.
No.
Maybe later.
Maybe a few thousand years later.
No.
Maybe later.
I'm joking.
Oh, okay. So, okay, then maybe I might actually start working on a bloody postmodern Kesia setting.
No.
Oh, come on.
Postmodern Kesia. Here we go again.
No. Anyway, Jesus Christ, you could have a slum punk game. You could have an advanced tech and medieval age game.
So a gutter punk game,
basically.
All right.
Oh my.
Okay. Outside of that, okay, since sorry, I'm just drawing a blank right now. What will kind of be the future of the country, given that we're going into this is kind of a question I've forgotten to ask, but since the whole continent's moving into the next age, what's kind of on the docket for the country?
Well, Zhang Li is still kind of having this mentality of let's stay chill and be a very powerful sentinel, whereas Shinovar is kind of the big defense in the south. Zhang Li wishes to be the big defense in the north, because they're seeing that, hey, look, our history with Lawless hasn't been too hot, and things are starting to stale, so they're just going to prepare just in case Lawless would ever, say, point a spear at them.
Or point a giant dragon head and say, Jakaris.
Yeah.
Alright. That's all I can really say. That's all
I must say, and long story short about the relationship between Zhang Li and Lawless, it's a roller coaster.
What was Zhang Li's reaction when they heard that the Emperor of Lawless, Marcus Solanus, what was the reaction when they heard that he had been assassinated, or supposedly assassinated, and his brother had been put in place?
They probably got very cautious of Lawless because a new emperor means new foreign policies, and new foreign policies means a new stance on how to deal with Zhang Li and the Hansu people as a whole.
Yep. What was the reaction?
On top of that, there's also trade issues.
Yeah. What was the reaction when they heard about the attacks by local disgruntled Romians on Hansu people up north?
They would probably be a lot angrier at Lawless for this, Because, hey, you were doing so well to these Hansu people, and now you're going to start fucking it up as soon as you get a new emperor? There's something sketchy there.
Yeah, true.
They would load their guns, but they won't aim.
Yep.
They're taking them off the. They're taking the safety off their weapons.
They've taken the safety off, but they haven't aimed yet.
Yep. They're about to start loading.
No, there are.
The guns have been loaded for hundreds of years.
Now we're just taking off the safety.
Yeah, and maybe like popping off the leather strap that holds it in the holster.
Okay. If Lawless were to fall apart, what would Zhang Li's reaction be?
If Lawless were to fall apart,
Like it just shattered into pieces.
oh, it would go on the offensive. It's like, look at all this land we can get back from after losing it these hundreds of years ago. And it would probably just grab, it wouldn't be too greedy. It would grab the land it lost in that war, and probably stay there.
Would it be prepared for possibly a 5-way war?
A 5-way war, probably.
Zhang Li?
Considering its alliance with Torzokia right now.
Yes, but it would have to contend with what's left of Lawless, Flokia, Guildland, and Atia.
Flokia, Guildland, and Atia. Well, as I said, it only wants the northern part. The rest can have fun with it. You can buy it later.
I imagine they're sort of Zhang Li would basically be dumping out the candy bag and watching the kids fight over it.
Yeah, that's probably what they would do. They'd be the ones who are on the side watching all the kids in the mud pit kind of fight.
It's kind of like sipping their tea.
I put my money on that one.
Oh, he bought it! Oh, he bit his ear off! Woo! Yeah! Do you see there being a high chance that Zhang Li might survive past the age, past far into the future?
Well, it's doing good in its economy. Its government is pretty stable, thanks to the corporations going on behind it. It has a decent source of income. The artificers are doing good work at making it very defensible, and overall, the quality of life it's dependent on how you see it. It's a very collectivist society. So people like to think, my heart is to the corporation, type thing. It's pretty weird.
I would like to ask, what's the opinion on slavery?
Zhang Li's opinion on slavery?
Yeah.
Wage slaves.
So basically, they're just like, hey, we won't put them in chains, but we will definitely make them work themselves to the bone.
Well, do keep in mind, we've got at least 4 known mega corporations walking around having complete rights over the people of Zhang Li.
Alright.
So they do what they please. It's think of it as you have your rights. Just make sure you watch these advertisements first.
Alright.
Before you can get to read the Bill of Rights, you need to watch this 30-minute informational video on this new product we came
You want to
up with.
skip it? Pay 15 gold.
We will gladly take your checks from the Kesia Bank.
Actually, I feel like Zhang Li looks at the Cassian bait and like, yes! An international currency that is held by one entity. Oh, I can make money off this.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Now that I think about it, they probably have good relations with Guildland as well.
I would assume they're both very looking to list. Oh God, Miglia, Guildland, and Zhang Li. The 3 capitalisms.
Well, admittedly, it's 3 different kinds of capitalisms.
Oh
now.
my!
We have completely normal capital. We have complete no governmental restraints at all capitalism with Zhang Li.
Mm-hmm.
We have complete government oversight with Miglia. I think.
They're
Because if not, then switch Guildland and Miglia.
Yeah, Miglia is more freewheeling.
Half and half. More
Yeah,
like.
it's half and half. Theoretically, they do have policies laid out to try to prevent the abuse of workers because, well, they kind of have slavery. They don't want new forms of it.
Yeah.
But the flip side is, with no guilds and no other regulatory bodies to say, yo, you gotta have your price set at this.
Mm-hmm.
The economy is able to function as it kind of wants in terms of pricing and the like, so take it as you will.
Alright, so Miglia's half and half, and then we have Guildland with, this is a government, this is basically, the government is the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 3 forms of capitalism, all near each other.
clearly there's not
And
going
they're all
to
happy with each other too.
be. Yeah.
Capitalism is very agreeable, boys.
You know what's sad though? If Zangley owned that little top left corner of Lallis, it would have a road that leads straight in between the only passageway into the Guildland Valley.
If only, if only. God damn it, why did you lose that in the war? Right there.
Good point.
It sucks, doesn't it?
It sucks. They might buy it later. Who knows?
That'll be quite the corridor to buy.
I will give you 50 million platinum if you give me that corner.
No.
No. Zangley, fuck.
Loads another gun.
Zangley, looking at him with their dragons behind him. You want to try that? You want to say that again, sir? Zangley, push the gun away.
Meanwhile, over in the corner, there's Miglia, Flokia, and Guildland. It's like, Miglia, hey, Flokia, you mind parting ways with some of your, like, the northern
Oh my
tip of your
god, that
land?
road, though, that leads Miglia to Guildland is owned by all of the countries.
Wait,
There's not a single country that owns it, I swear.
it's on the border between
It's right on the border.
between Cecilia and Flokia. It's like, okay, none of us can own this. None of us are allowed to own this.
Yeah. Well, actually, I kind of imagine if they can somehow get Cecilia on board with the whole capitalism thing, there might be a huge free trade zone that might form between Zangley, Guildland, Miglia, and Cecilia if they can get them to agree to it.
See, Wallace, this is what happens when you don't give Zangley that little chunk of fucking land.
I'm just gonna make this joke right now just to get out of the way. Looks like we got another NAFTA coming, boys.
Oh my. Kesia NAFTA.
But better.
Oh my god.
Ah, man.
Anyway, anything else to say about Zangley?
I don't. Does anyone?
I remember in the past we had mentioned that. So gnomes mainly live here, correct?
Yes.
I remember mentioning in the past that they were.
What's wrong about gnomes?
Barry is laughing right now.
Oh my.
Barry, something funny?
Nothing wrong with gnomes. Unless you get gnomed.
What's so funny?
It's just... Here's the thing. Let's go back to Shinovar for a brief moment. Savage, Rock Gnome, Artificer, complete another crackpot.
We see where he gets it from.
Yeah. Unless
He was tired of those Zangley advertisements.
He was like, fuck this shit.
he was also probably tired of just how calm they all were.
It comes every 15 seconds.
The elves, they know how they revel in emotion and chaos. Savage. Those are my people!
Those are my people.
Russia's television of art.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry to detract from that discussion. I just fucking realized.
Alright.
There were Goliaths there from what I remember. Do they play any factor into Guildland, or do they mainly say it was like the mercenary fund?
You mean Zangley?
Zangley, I'm sorry, yeah.
So the Goliaths serve many purposes, of course, with their overwhelming strength. They're probably able to move pieces into place that, the gnomes are incapable of doing. Also, unlike Torzokia, which sees their mountains as, ooh, spooky place, let's not go there, Zangley sees its little bit of mountains as, look at all these free resources we can grab. And they used to actually have a lot more mountains, but they've actually mined those out.
They mined them down to dust.
Mm-hmm.
Lallis, looking at what's up in the mountains. What did you do?
We ate them. Like we're gonna eat that one fucking chunk of land.
You wish, bitch.
That one chunk of land.
Zangley's never gonna let that go.
Oh. Let's
One final thing. I remember before there were high elves there. Are they still there, or has that been taken away yet?
High elves living there are like high elves living anywhere else. Why would they go there? They probably want to be high in society. So let's go start our own mega corporation and probably get some money.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, oh yeah.
Doesn't a member of the Northeast member of the Mages live there?
Yes, the Northeast member of the Mages.
Of the Council of Magi, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Paraxi. Paraxi. Paraxi.
What is he? I'm guessing he's an artificer.
Mm-hmm.
And his particular subclass, as it were. Or is he the homebrew one that we found, the improvised artificer?
I would say he's a mixture of all of them. I would say a good member of this council would be someone who knows a little bit about all the technologies, and on top of that, has a pretty unbiased yet crazy view of everything. He's a little bit of a nutcase, but that's what you get when you learn about all the technologies and engineering and try to take them all at once.
As an engineering student, I can confirm that there's a certain point where we all start to go insane.
Imagine an engineering student doing all the engineering degrees.
Hey, computer science. Hey, mechanical engineering. Hey, technology engineering. Hey, electrical engineering. Hey, all these fucking forms of engineering.
Actually,
let me just do it all at once.
If you go with mechanical engineering, you can actually jump into all the other fields rather quickly.
Alright.
It's just, it'll be 4 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus extended, depending on the exact 3.
Got it.
But it would be doable, but there will be a certain point where you say, fuck this.
Yeah, someone trying to do 2 engineering majors at once.
Oh, God.
He would be a nutcase.
Anything else you want to say with Zangli?
No, other than that member and the current, I guess, leader of the government? Mm-hmm. I don't know. The current emperor, everyone who is the leader of the Zangli government is named Emperor Zhang. That's it doesn't matter if, well, I guess if you're a girl, you'd be Empress Zhang. But
there's no numbers. It's just straight up. We just call him.
You're
Zhang.
Just Zhang. And the emperor in that kind of plays the same role as, like, per se, the emperor of Japan. They're just kind of there, a figure.
All right.
The real rulers are probably the CEOs of those corporations. Moving on.
All right. What's up next, boys?
Big boy.
Big boys.
Big boys.
Alright, let's get them both out of the way at the same time, because basically the same fucking thing. Lalus and Atia.
Yeah.
The twin draconic empires and the successors to the Kessian dynasty. Motherfucker, these guys... in the eastern Kesia, everyone has something to say about these motherfuckers.
Well, they kind of are the oldest kid on the block and thus have the biggest reputation along its history.
Yeah, second oldest kid.
Wow, that's exactly them. Fuck you, old man.
Well, fuck you and your tiny little shit piece of land!
Burns it to the ground. Fuck you, now you can't do anything with it.
Miglia watching this dick measuring contest play out. Oh, jeez.
It's like flopping its dick right on Zangli's land.
I'm sorry. Anyone who's still around right now, I apologize. We are getting tired. There's one other person.
There used to be, I think, 5 at one point.
In the chat it shows several different names, but there's only 2 people watching.
Yeah.
Okay, so, alright, so Atia and Lalus. So Lalus is the elder of the 2, it was the original, and it is basically I am the successor of the Kessian Empire, and I will unite the entire continent under my banner. Everyone else, good fucking luck. Because basically, it's had a hell of a time doing that. It almost did, until it ran into a little bit of problem with the dwarves. Goddamn dwarves. Lalus and Atia are 2 sides of the same coin. Atia looked, funnily enough, the one thing that makes Lalus the way it is because of its partnership with the dragons. And, because the fact of the matter is, the Dragon Knights, these riders who gain a magical bond to dragons. They are the core of the entire Legion society, and actually the only people who can become emperors as well. The fact that Gallus, a man who was not a dragon knight, became one has caused many people to be extremely upset about that, and wondering whether or not he should even be on the throne in the first place. The Legion Dragon Knights are a member of the Legion society, a member of the Legion architecture, as it were, as they are the core military leaders and they are part of the government. Atia's Dragon Knights are like, we'll do whatever the fuck we want, fuck you. They're basically the renegade members of the bunch. I would say that the Dragon Knights are probably the one part of us that makes it to where they've been able to win so much, along with the dragons in general. The mage of the southeast hails from Laos. No one knows who's it. No one outside the Council of Magi knows who it is, and they refuse to make themselves known to anyone. In fact, anyone who catches a glimpse of them has their memory wiped of their existence, because this one especially does not like being known. Supposedly, there's such an infuriating aspect that even Conrad Lorenz has had a hard time working with them. And in general, Laos is more of it's the big empire. It is the Roman Empire if it never fell, and it is going to do its damnedest to get back what it lost. Axia, on the other hand, is more like they consider themselves far enough away from Laos to where they deserve to be their own state. As well, they take a different step to politics. In fact, they were part of an alliance to fight against Laos at first, and even tried to aid Flokia in some of the southern wars that it fought, until it was thoroughly thrashed by Shinovar because apparently elven magic really fucks up dragons.
How can I suspect that?
So, yeah, they say the fuck away from the south. In general, Laos wants to regain Atia through any means necessary, whether it be conquest or whether it be through treaty or unity. They want to get back the land they lost, so they mainly look at Terzokia for this. They want to thoroughly take everything back that they owned. They want to expand westward, which means they need to deal with their dwarven enemies in the west, and they want to finally decide the fate of Kesia in their eyes by taking on Heijan. And in the words of Emperor Nero, burn down every single one of those halfling hovels until there's nothing left but dust and burnt mud. Yeah, Laos. Really, well, they are patriotic and they will do anything in their power to make sure that they stick around.
Alrighty. Oh man, Laos has got a lot of things behind it. Too much to say in one podcast, to be honest. A one note that is particularly funny is it is not Laos.
It is
My
Laos.
God. Laos.
A Lilesian if you're from there.
Everyone has called it Laos.
Oh my god.
I do want to mention that there were 2 mountain ranges, correct, in Laos?
Yep, there's the Drakasi Mountains in the west, and there's the Falowski Mountains in the east.
Phalos Mountains.
Phalos Mountains.
Yeah.
Phalos, Flofsky, tomatoes,
Phalos, if you are from Zhengli.
Yeah, those are the main 2 mountain ranges that it sits between, and it makes us mine the hell out of those as much as we can. Rumors are they're trying to get an alliance with a dwarven clan within the western mountains, as it were, so that way they would come eastward and dig a tunnel through the mountain range of the east. Because if they do, they can circumvent all the problems happening above ground, and they can get a route below ground.
Mm-hmm.
Which then leads to a new list of problems for both Terzokia and Laos. Yeah,
oh my.
Yeah, that's it for the most part.
The War of the Tunnels.
Only one may dig. One shall dig, one shall bury.
Oh my.
Okay, Optimus Diggus over here. Calm down.
Optimus Diggus.
Oh my god. Alright, I ain't got anything else to say on Atia and Laos.
I mean, the Empire of Dragons campaign is there, correct?
Yep, it is.
We're gonna be exploring Laos thoroughly, I imagine, with the campaign. So.
And Atia, hopefully.
You got any lore of our little how do you pronounce that? Imperatorus in Mare.
It means the Emperor's Sea. It is the... By the way, that's not salt. That is all fresh water. They have a giant freshwater sea sitting in the
they're not sharing with anyone.
Funnily enough, they tried to figure out how the hell that happened. The only thing they can come to is that some magical shit happened. No one knows for sure how the hell this thing came to be. But what they do know is that, for one thing, dragon turtles swim through that thing. So, yeah, any trade on that sea is thoroughly protected by the dragon turtles. There's rumors of weird's going on the coast of the sea, as it were. No one really knows what it is, but they've seen strange people covered in mucus. Some people acting very dull and Some people were acting very dull and withdrawn, and some people were just like with this glazed eye look traveling around the coast, and no one really knows what the hell is going on. Also,
I do.
Also, in 988, it was revealed that in 988, the Dreadwolves were taken down. Oh yeah, that's another thing. The Dreadwolves were taken down. Two of the Dreadwolves were supposedly taken down in Laos. One for sure, one no one knows. They were actually killed in the city of Ventamez over on the northeastern corner of Imperatus and Mare. The Black Wizard was, as I said, the Black Wizard and the Black Swordsman were both killed there, as it were, during a sting operation where one of their own had supposedly betrayed them and they were forced to flee. Yeah, they found out that apparently you can take out a dragon with just one good sword, not even a magical one.
Hey, a weapon is only as good as its skill, as its wielder.
Yeah, but his sword was broken, so no one ever. Progress there. But yeah, other than that, Laos doesn't have that much to it. Its one claim to fame is that, A, we took down 2 of the Dread Wolves, which not many people are probably willing to admit to in public. Yeah, that's opening up a new can of worms.
Yep, that's the meme of I am right. I can't even quote the damn meme. I'm sorry. I'm just starting to get tired here.
I agree. Nothing else to say?
Not that can be done in one podcast for sure.
All right.
Yeah,
Maybe we should just make the entire next podcast on everything else we missed on Kesia.
Everything else about Laos.
Everything else about Kesia. Just go over everything.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, its capital is Hirsa, yes.
Yep.
And is Laos the most populous country?
41.6 million people. It is sure is the most popular. It has 10 more million people than the entire population of Western Europe after before the Black Death. 35 million people lived in Western Europe before the Black Death. Laos outnumbers it by 10 million.
Dang, they'd be really going at it.
In a much denser area on top of that. Because this place is about the size of Europe in general.
Oh, jeez. Well, in that case, then...
Kesia is about the size of Europe in general. So Laos, I think, might be about the size of Western Europe.
Maybe.
But has a lot more people to it.
Well, in that case, they really be fucking like bunnies.
That's not the term I was going with, but okay.
This is what happens when you let dragons intermix with non-dragons.
Oh boy. Anywho.
Now, not last, but certainly not least, we have the Warden of the East.
Everyone hates this country.
Not everybody.
Everyone.
Not everybody. Torzokia.
Torzokia, it's 300 it's 300 years old. It's a pretty young country compared to all these little boys. And was founded after a small rebellion decided to go east. Found a city, get burnt to the ground, and then did a second attempt, but that one stood. And from there, they went even further east and was like, holy crap, there's a ancient empire here. They were super technologically advanced. And they stumbled upon that technology, learned these technologies through some readings that were given to them, and founded a nation upon that. Its capital is Hawk. It used to be Torzok until around 976, where it was moved to Hawk. And has stayed Hawk ever since.
Much to the chagrin of the Ruzonic people.
It's a little bit cold up into the north as you get into. It's split up into several provinces. It's got. Hold on, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 provinces. It's got the. Oh God, what was the name of that line? One all the way at the bottom. Something in Russian. You have it?
Me? Actually, it's over in the Kessian lore section. Give me a second.
Should be. That's the only one I never really know.
Sounds about right. Alright. Leningrad.
Leningrad. Okay, the one all the way in the bottom is Leningrad, and that's kind of like a little military area. Then the one in the center, it should still be called Torzok.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and that used to be the original lands of Torzokia before it expanded. Hawk, the capital, is designated as its own province because, to avoid like political underlings and stuff. We're our own thing, so therefore we can't be affected by anyone else.
Unless we take an army to your city.
Right. The one above Torzok would be the Falowski province, where most of the Phalos Mountains lives in or resides in. It's got its own nest of problems that the characters of Wheel of Time are currently dealing with, and then the province northern above that, where it's all nice and fertile, is of course the Luari province. It also has this sixth province called Pifal, which is that little peninsula you see in the eastern side of the country. And no one really knows about it, really. They just know it as a holy city for a god.
Only known as Amanor.
Yep, only known as Amanor. It is a republic ministry, as stated before, complete with a whole host of ministries that govern each specific part of Torzokia, which is further run by a different sub-council, which is voted in, of course, by the populace. It is also, the city of Hawk is also the biggest and most populous city in Kesia.
500,000 people live there?
Yeah, I think sporting a fine 100,000 people. And also sporting the biggest and probably most well-known university in Kesia, University of Hawk.
Which in some areas has become a model for other universities across the globe.
Of course. Anyone have any questions or inquiries about the nation?
I would say what makes it stand out so much amongst the other people of Kesia, amongst the other countries of Kesia?
Well, for starters, it is I think it's probably the only nation that is considered to be in the industrial age, with most of its cities sporting factories and manufacturing lines. It also has several different modes of transportation, including by carriage, by boat, by airship, by teleportation circle, by motorized carriages. I wouldn't say cars, they're their own thing. They're more like mechanical steam horses.
I was about to say, before the internal combustion engine became a popular thing, steam-powered cars were a very viable option for our future. In fact, in a way, they probably would have been cleaner in the long run. But
So damn slow, though.
Yes, they are very slow.
very slow, but once they get up to speed, well, boy, they'll keep going.
Alright. And yeah, I would say Torzokia is a pretty steampunk-heavy country as well.
So, it just went in one side of my head and went out the other. I'm sorry.
It's alright. Any other inquiries?
I'm trying to think about it here. Besides Zhang Li, is there anyone that we would consider a friend or a trade partner, as it were?
It's a funny thing because of Torzokia's weird and admittedly dumb uprising and how it came to be a country. The fact that it can't even cross Slalis to communicate with other people except through the Kessian Long Road leaves it to be a country that's rather just shrouded in mystery. They just kind of think of it as, oh, this is the country that's rebelling against Slalis, it won't last long. So aside from Zhang Li, which is its major trading partner, and perhaps maybe even the pirates down to the southeast, it's got no one.
Dang. Basically, it's basically the lone man in the east.
Mm-hmm.
Has it tried? This question might have already been answered, but has Torzokia tried to send out diplomatic missions and the like to make contact with other countries, say like Shinovar?
The main form of communication, Torzokia has two main forms of communication to the outside world of Kesia. The Kessian Long Road to Hawk, where it's kind of like a scholar trade across all of Kesia. All the wise people kind of just go in and out, and they, of course, tell their stories of the nation itself. And diplomats could be sent there in disguise as scholars, but who knows. And aside from that, and that one trade, they also have the communication line through the Blood Hunters because they graciously accept them because Torzokia has a pretty high monster population, especially in the Torzok and Faloski provinces.
Okay.
And the monsters in Torzokia are a little bit unique and interesting in terms of how to kill it, so more specialized monster hunters are needed.
Particularly ones that love to study their targets and use their knowledge.
And because that is rather hard to do with only a few methods of transportation across Laos that is allowed, it has resulted in either very particular monster hunters or them hiring their own from their nation.
That's fair.
Again, I'm definitely the guy who talked about this thing the most, but Order of Magi, feelings on Torzokia's feelings on them.
Torzokia likes the Order of Magi. They keep the monsters at bay. They provide knowledge to Torzokia, especially about the outside world. They're one of their main methods of communication. And probably their only hope of having a better relationship with Laos.
So just to be clear, Comrade Lorenz is the Mage of the East, correct?
Yes,
and she's a member of a ministry. She's the leader of a ministry, as it were.
Yes. She is the Minister of Health. She has been currently trying to battle for that position for, I'd want to say 30 years, and finally got it in the year 990.
Alright.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since she got out of the university in around 960, she's kind of just been battling to get that position.
Do you think her involvement in the battle against the Lich King might have helped her campaign for the position?
It was a combination between that and, of course, her founding Tawux, the Torzokian Agency of Health and Wellness and Utility and Civil Services. That is quite the anagram.
We're never going to remember that. I hope you realize that.
No one is. That's why it's recorded. It's because she also kind of founded that, which was doing bounds for the nation. She saw this as like, oh man, this technology is all we got. So we might as well offer something else to the world. Why don't we offer some services that are enhanced by these technologies so that we can start being a self-sufficient nation and stop relying on this old empire's ancient technologies.
That makes sense.
So they decided, hey, why don't we specialize in health? We have a longer lifespan than everyone else, typically. Mm-hmm. We even have our own retirement communities here.
Which in itself is a feat of cultural and economic wealth, because usually when you have starting to develop a subsegment of retirees, that means your economy is going pretty strong if they can take on largely, I wouldn't say unproductive citizens, but those that don't
dependent citizens.
Yeah, that develop dependencies.
Yeah, I'd like to think of Torzokia a little bit health-wise as Japan. It's got a really good quality of life, probably due to its isolation for a long time, and its technology and education.
For the elderly, anyway. If you're below that, you're screwed.
Yeah.
All right, slug it out, little. Here's your boxing. No, don't you? Here's your knuckle. Here's your brass knuckles, little guy. You're gonna have to slug it out for the next 50 years.
Pray you live that long.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the Lupin live there, correct?
Yes, there is a decent chunk of people from Torzokia who are Lupins or Lupin descent.
I assume, did they have any feelings on the situation of the Dreadwolves over in Guildland and Laos when it came near them?
Well, considering Torzokia actually has a pretty anti-slavery policy, they're pretty happy with the Dreadwolves. They're not too huge of a fan of their very brutal ways of dealing with slavery.
I assume that died down once their anger started to subside, like when the Dreadwolves started switching from pure mass murder and freeing to mainly freeing.
And as of recent, there has been quite a bit of news kind of going around that, and it's just kind of the way the news kind of settles into Torzokia, that the Dreadwolves are some sort of terrorist group that should be feared.
In Torzokia?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, alright.
and just due to their brash ways of dealing with slavery. And Torzokia kind of see the Lupins of Torzokia. They're kind of a mixed group on the Dreadwolves. Some see it as they're doing a really good job to stop slavery, but most of them kind of see them as terrorists who are just kind of just stabbing people in the name of, hey, you're doing slavery. That gives me perfectly good enough reason to kill you. Whereas you could probably just change the mind of someone. Especially if you got all these intellectuals be like, why don't we just do a group rights activist or something like that?
That's
do a
fair.
union.
Well, but at the end of the day, they did succeed with what they tried to do. So
Everyone come to everyone go to Guildland. They can't enslave all of us.
the Dread. Oh my God, the Area 51 of slaves. But generally speaking, the Dreadwolves did win in a way, and so now the Dreadwolves are just so. Generally speaking, the Dreadwolves did win, and they have no further purpose unless they feel like dying in Flokia. So
yeah, but it's like that past they've got doesn't look good on them. And even recently with events that and news that kind of spreads around, as of 996, there were a couple of instances where that had the Dreadwolves' names on it that were associated with terrorist acts in Torzokia.
Which is the question of is are the Dreadwolves now working for Guildland? I assume.
Maybe they're all spies from Lalus.
It's funny because in the way they did that, two of the members did die in Lalus.
Any
reaction to that, by the way? Any reaction to that? When
Torzokia?
Yeah, like when they heard that two of a prominent group that would later be terrorists in their lands died.
Well, it depends on how you see it. If the people are pretty anti-Lalus, they might think of this as just, oh, they're just propagating news to us. These people aren't actually dead. They say that they're dead so that they can sneak into Torzokia and start their own terror.
I found that funny.
Yeah. Well, most of Torzokia is kind of very on the intellectual side. What? Yes, I know. It's because it's on the very intellectual side of things. So they have a pretty neutral stance on it. Like, it happens. We got to see what's in it. We got to focus on the present.
Alright. I don't got much else to ask.
I really don't, I don't have anything else to question. Maybe this is, maybe we might, go back through the countries, one by one and discuss it next time.
Yeah.
Well, with all of them done, I want to give a brief overview of organizations that I would say this. On a ratio of 1 which country has the best living conditions, which country has the worst, would you say?
Oh, those are some loaded questions, buddy.
Yeah.
Depends on who you are.
Yeah,
In general. Okay, let's go with the lowest of the low. Say I were a human. What would be the best place for me to live?
We're a human. Let's just say we're a human with 0 gold. Where would be the best place to live? Depends on what type of slave you want to be.
Yeah, part of.
Well, let's look at it this way. Let's eliminate any country that allows slavery.
Okay, Guildland, you're out. Wait, so Guildland...
We're talking like 985, so Guildland would be out.
Guildland's out, Floki is out, Lalus is not out.
Lalus is not out. Okay.
Capper's out.
Capper's out.
Well then, probably, if you want the sheer opportunity of getting a second chance, ironically enough, Miglia might be a place to look at, even though they are mainly a Draconics a nation filled with Draconics. They kind of know what it feels like to be at the bottom of the barrel. So,
all right. Now we probably also want to take out countries that have problems with monsters.
Torzokia.
All right.
Heijon.
All right.
I think Ocean.
Yeah.
We actually, let me see. We actually have a list of all the countries that have a. So we're talking high or sustain?
High, because sustain means you don't have to worry about them as much.
All right. In that case, the following countries are now off the table in general:
Alright, so the following countries are cut off because of. Oh god, okay. These countries are cut off because of high monster population. Flokia, Heijan, Terzokia, and Ocean, and Miglia.
Yeah, I was about to say Miglia was on that list.
So
I remember
we have-
it being on that list. So,
So all we have left at this point is Atia, Zangli, Sicilia, not Guildland, Hangzan, Shinovar, Lalas, and Sunshian.
Now from that, take away countries that are probably statistically poor.
Ocean. No, I can know what Ocean was on, yeah. I don't think any of these countries are poor, actually.
All these countries are rich? I thought Ocean is poor.
Ocean got taken out. We have Sunshian.
Oh, Ocean got taken out. Sunshian, I'd say, isn't Sunshian like a giant refugee area?
That's right! Take that out because of Heijan.
Heijan too.
Heijan was always taken out due to its high monster population. So all we have left at this point is Atia, Zangli, Sicilia, Hangzan, Shinovar, and Lalas.
Oh, and Lalas. Okay, so Shinovar, Atia, Lalas, Sicilia, Zangli, and what else?
And Atia, Zangli, Sicilia, Hangzan, Shinovar, Laos. That's it?
Just those 5?
Yep.
Because you said 6 earlier, that's why I was like...
Yeah, because we cut off Sunshian from that, so... Alright, we're down to those 5.
Alright, from those are the 5 better countries.
So we have wage slaves in Zangli, we have Dragon Empire in Lalas and Atia, we have the homeland of the elves with Shinovar. We have the pantheon of do be good or we will smite the fuck out of you in
now,
Sicilia.
from these, I'd say these 5 countries are just kind of in their own bracket. I'd say they're the S tier of the countries. Whereas the B tier would probably be those with the high monster populations, and then you got your F tier, which is slaves.
oh yeah.
Hangzan actually hit S tier. Hey, a Western country hit S tier. That's good.
There you go. Oh, Hangsan was the 6th one. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So from there, I'd say from your S tier, you've got your safety. You don't have to worry about being a slave.
Mm-hmm.
You probably we'd work in. Who are you? From that point, what do you value?
Yeah.
You value religion, Cecilia Hangsan.
Mm-hmm.
You value your community, I'd say Shinovar or Zangli.
Yep.
You value yourself, Lalas or Atia.
Because you're more than likely gonna succeed there if you care for yourself.
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay, let's take a race that's the most hated.
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Where would Knowles?
Yeah,
Where would Knowles live the best is the question.
I don't know. Lalas? Lalas, probably.
Because hey, we kill dwarves here. Come with us.
Yeah, Lalas, doesn't they have like a regiment of them protecting the border between Lalas and Flokia?
Yes. After a bad situation where a group of Null refugees had fled from Flokia into Lelis and invaded it, so they were like, okay, let's try and mend relations a bit by integrating them into our ranks.
Yeah, so I would definitely say as a Null, it'd probably be Lalas. I mean, Nulls even hate themselves, so as a race that hated, for Lalas to accept them, that's a pretty bold move.
All right.
And also Laos is, ironically, since it's one of the biggest countries that has the most space for, disparate groups.
It literally uses tribes on its borders as its protection. They have the orcs, they have the kobolds, they have the hobgoblins, they have the goblinoids. They probably take the gnolls as well. They basically take every single race that they can that's tribal and puts them on their borders as a way to protect it.
Yeah, and since they're basically, in a way, they're kind of given free land and supplies, they're able to grow and better themselves in some way, some fashion.
True.
Whether it be by their own choice, if they really want to or not, it's totally up to them.
Yeah. Alright, I guess last question for this section is... trying to think here. Alright, we brought up the Order of Magi before, and we mentioned they've been a focal point throughout all of this because they crop up prominently in each location in their own way. Do you see a situation where any of these countries might come to blows with the Order of Magi?
Well, there's always a situation. It just depends on how bad the Order of Magi is.
Which one do you think is the most likely?
Depends on what the Order of Magi does. Like, if they do something that would violate laws with the Portusian Inquisition, Hang San would probably throw some fists.
Yeah. If the Order of Magi were to step on the toes of the Miglian Constitution or their Bill of Rights, well, there's going to be muskets being loaded in the eviction notice for the Order of Magi embassy.
True.
Will be signed rather quickly by the president or by the elder justices.
Oh, I got a question. Do these countries see the Order as a threat? Since they are
Does Capra see it?
they are the only, keep in mind, they are the only center of mages that can warp reality now. At any time, a member of the Council of Magi can cast Wish and switch and change whatever they want.
Well, that's just basically saying, are you fine with a kind of like a Interpol having the access to the nuclear bomb?
Yeah. Means at any time we can choose to nuke something or wipe it away.
Yeah, that's like saying, oh, what if Interpol had the nuclear football?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well.
Well, you know for sure that they're never going to launch it, because it'll fuck them up too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's also a certain point where a properly worded wish spell can wipe the slate clean and allow like the Order of Magi to shake the world.
Yeah. So the question is, do they see them as a threat? Factoring in something like that, and factoring in the fact that every mage could switch allegiances from the country to the Order.
I mean, I just see it as like, I don't see that there's a specific wish spell that would end up helping the Order of Magi without hurting it first.
Yeah, I know I'm kind of falling back on the whole, Miglia go, Miglia all day, Miglia all day.
Yeah, you're good.
But probably they would be the ones that, well, honestly, they have a net neutral opinion with them.
Mm-hmm.
But because they're so young and they're still pretty much freedom driven,
Mm-hmm.
they would probably take some issue with the Order of Magi's freewheeling ability with the wish spell.
True. Just considering the fact that, for reference, by the way, there were 3 recorded instances since 983 where the wish spell has been used.
Mm.
All 3 of which 2 of which people do not remember.
Mm.
They just know that it happened, but no one knows what was cast or what effect it had. So.
Alrighty.
Right. So we have 3 more. We have 3 more sections. Wheel of Time, Pathfinder, very soon. I have a question. Do you want to keep going?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now. I want to stop it right there.
Yeah. This.
Oh boy.
Yeah. This is we gotta pull the plug on this
I
tonight.
always put my time stop at 3 hours.
Alright. With that, I hope you guys have enjoyed this little podcast.
Jump straight to closing thoughts.
Yep.
Wheel of Time. Oh, yep. Thing. Pathfinder. That's a nice system. Terry.
Well, technically, I wanted to talk a little bit about Pathfinder because I was willing to trash my segment for a little bit, but part 2 of this.
Part 2 next week, folks.
Alright.
We'll see you guys next week. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you liked it, follow me. If you watch this on YouTube, click that like button and subscribe if you want. I'm Zen,
I'm Perry.
I'm Carr.
and we'll see you guys next one.
Bye.
Peace out.